All right, so we finally got back into the studio once more because the last one we tried to do was garbage. everybody, everybody was half asleep, so I was like, we have to redo
Yeah,
it.
we started falling out near the end.
It was just bad, but so we have a special guest with us. It's my homeboy Prophet,
What's up? What's up?
and we're going to geek out some more. As always, I got Agent O with me.
What up?
And yeah, so we're going to talk about all the crazy stuff that happened in the last couple, weeks or this last month. So we're going to talk about Jessica Jones, talk about Batman versus Superman, talk about the Civil War trailer. I guess we can start with the trailers.
Sweet. Which one?
What would you guys think about? We'll start with Civil War.
I don't need to see any more trailers. Like, I'm good. That was enough for me to convince me that I want to see this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even think they need to show anything else.
and they probably will because they're in the business of having like a teaser for the teaser, for the trailer for the movie, and I'm like,
so annoying.
Yeah.
Personally, the only reason, like that last scene, those guys wailing
on Iron Man,
yes. Like that completely
shit,
made the whole trailer. That and Black Panther, those are the two standouts.
Yep.
Like, man, like, god damn it, that was fantastic. Oh my god.
I know. I can't wait. I really can't. I have to see. I'm sick of Tony. Like, honestly, Tony is the reason for all the problems in the Marvel universe, the cinematic universe. And I don't get how everybody else doesn't see it. Like, why would you ever call Iron Man to fix your problem? When he causes everything. He created Ultron. He created weapons that got sold on the black market for pretty much for Cap and the other guys to deal with. He's the problem.
I'm surprised they didn't do Armor Wars.
They should have.
I would have enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, they should have.
No, they shouldn't get any more movies.
No. Instead of Iron Man 3 being what it was, they should have done the Armor Wars story from back in the day. That would have been perfect.
Is he getting a fifth movie?
Yeah, supposedly.
Yeah. Oh my god, for real?
Yeah. I'm like,
another reason to give RDJ more money.
I know, right?
I think he's
going to be making $100 million by the time.
I think he's already making that.
Well, I know he's making $50 million like a movie.
He makes $50 million a movie, but he's also producer. So, like, that's a whole nother world of money coming in. You know what I mean? On the back end. Yeah. So, yeah. And then that's before all the royalties for his face.
Yeah.
In toy sales and all that other stuff. And you know that, like, even Star Wars made a shitload of money just based on merchandising. They haven't spent anything really on their ad campaign because they've been flooding the market with toys, and that's done by a third party. They just are like, hey, okay, you guys pay us for our license. So pretty much they were paid for their advertising, which is nuts. So and that they just bought Disney just had bought Star Wars for what, $4 billion?
That was a good move, honestly, because
I mean, if you're Disney, you're
probably buy the world.
Pretty much. But yeah, man. And then the Black Panther finally. I didn't think, and I had said it before. I never thought we would see Black Panther.
For real?
They've been bullshitting so much. I mean, think about how long they've been talking about a Black Panther movie. I remember when I was in 5th or 6th grade when Wesley Snipes was talking about playing Black Panther.
Oh, for real?
He was the first person to even bring that shit to light. Like, someone needs to play this, and that was during probably. Whose run was that? Was that during Christopher Priest's run?
No, that was before Priest.
It was before him? It was during still a time when Black Panther was still he was even more obscure than he... I mean, now he shouldn't be considered obscure, but there's a ton of people who have no fucking clue who this character is. Probably before Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's only people like us that were really reading comics.
Like, everybody watched the MTV series that was really bad.
Oh.
I watched that, and I watched it in Kenya. And I was like, my God,
shouldn't have called it an animated series. They should have called it a motion comic, because that's what it really was.
I like the animation of it all. Because it felt like you were reading something on the screen.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was totally hard.
Oh, it was bad.
Speaking as a person who Wakanda exists imaginarily in our country, I was like, man, this is garbage. Considering that Storm comes from Kenya, like, come on, man. Come on, Marvel.
I know, right?
You got it.
And they changed shit, too, because Nightcrawler, Juggernaut were not in the original run of that storyline. It was Rhino. Instead of Juggernaut, it was Rhino, and Radioactive Man was in there too. Wow. So I don't know why they made those changes.
Probably just to get exposure for a character that people already know.
Yeah, it made but I mean,
That's
I don't know why they did what they did,
but still,
it was whack.
Anyway, that show was whack.
It was whack.
I liked. The only thing I liked was the casting of Jaimon Hansu as what you call it?
T'Challa.
As T'Challa. That was perfect.
Yeah,
but like Jill Scott as Storm, like get the fuck out of here.
I actually think that unfortunately because he was cast in Guardians of the Galaxy, he can't be cast in the new Black Panther movie. I think he would have been awesome as the dad.
As
you know,
T'Chaka. Yeah,
yes,
that
like
would have been awesome.
See, I wanted
honestly.
Wesley Snipes as T'Chaka.
Why?
Since he was trying to.
Yeah, he was the
trying
person
to
who
do
brought
it back
this,
in the day.
Yeah,
he was trying to beat T'Challa back in the day. Only thing is, though, they really have to work on their African accents. Like, I saw the trailer for, was it Concussion or whatever, that Will Smith movie?
Yeah.
Oh my God, his accent is so bad. His African accent is...
What is this? What is this?
I cannot stand when people talk like this. I want to rip my
Oh my
fucking
God.
ears out of my head when they talk like this. Like, fucking... Go,
You know
listen to
what?
some
You know
shit.
what? You know what? Speaking as an African myself, from the motherland, the only person who I think would actually do T'Chaka justice would have been Jaimon Hansu, but he passed. So you know who's really good and actually has an African accent?
Sweet tell.
No, the dude from what's this thing called? Martin Luther King.
Oh,
He actually I've had him speak Nigerian.
What's his name?
Like,
Oyolo?
Yeah, David
Oyolowo.
Oyolowo.
David
I've
Oyolowo,
heard
yeah.
him speak in his African accent because we all have that.
Yeah.
And growing up in London, he grew up with his Nigerian parents and stuff, and he actually speaks perfectly.
Yeah.
But now the thing is, what kind of African accent are we talking about?
Well,
because there's a billion of them.
What they should do is
Not the stereotypical one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, right? Will Smith, come on, man.
What they
You're
should
letting me
do
down.
is, and it's weird. You know who? It's strange. Like people don't give him props. I guess sometimes they do, but Charlton Copley, and I know he's white. He's an Afrikaner, essentially, but his every accent he does is fucking spot on. Every single one.
But the Afrikaner accent is true. That's how he actually
I know,
talks.
because he's from South Africa.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, they should get people who know the accents to actually train these guys to speak with the accents instead of having them do their version of the accent. You know
Honestly speaking, speaking as an African, and when I had the door...
You can only speak as an
African.
Yes, what you are. Come on.
Speaking as the only African in the room.
No, my parents are from Nigeria.
Oh, shit, for real?
Yeah, I'm half. My dad is...
Oh my God.
We're all Africans.
It's a whole room full of...
Speaking as Africans, I think I actually tried to look at casting for this movie. So I would be like, you know what? I should totally try and cast for this movie. One of Charlotte's friends.
See, I don't
what's
go
up, man? Yeah, hey, man. Are we going down to the village to grab a brew and I'll be there holding my
grab
spear?
A brew?
Yeah, come on, man. Marvel, cast me, man. I know they won't. Stanley, if you're listening to this, I love you, man. Peace out.
You're too brown. They want safe brown.
Oh,
and that's how they do.
Come on.
We're too brown. We're way too brown.
Chadwick Boseman will probably be the darkest person in that movie.
Exactly. How much you want to bet? They're gonna have him surrounded by safe black. All safe
But
black.
I think, you know who would be good? They should cast Lupita as their sister.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
And she
That'd be real
actually
cool.
is seriously hardcore. Not Lupita, but the sister.
The sister, yeah.
The
She
sister
was the
is,
Black
super
Panther for a
hardcore.
while. Yeah.
So I think she'd be a decent choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's just when you get a movie that has people of a certain, ethnic background, why not cast all the people in Hollywood and in the industry with that background? It would only make sense. It'd be believable, and it makes people kind of get to see their people in a light they don't normally get to see them in. You know what I'm saying? I learned that in most Asian themed Hollywood films, say The Last Samurai, it was full of Hispanic people, white people, and hardly any Asians.
Are you serious?
I'm like, what the fuck? It's Japan.
That's how Hollywood does, man.
Or this Gods of Egypt.
Oh my God!
Shit.
Let's shit. Chadwick Boseman is the only black person in that movie.
He's in that movie.
He's in the movie as Thoth. Who's
I didn't know that.
I didn't know this.
He is. I saw the pictures.
He's the only brown
He's the only
person.
brown
Well,
person
no,
in that
there's
whole
background people that are
No, I'm talking about the
thing. Yeah,
gods.
background people is
as far as actors,
The gods, though? I'm like, Why
you know what?
Why is Gerard Butler even talking? They should have dubbed his voice over. Like the one line he said in the trailer, I was like, yeah, how am I supposed to believe this guy's from Egypt?
all that
with his
all
thick
that
Scottish
Scottish
accent.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
I'm like,
Man.
honestly.
And then the main pretty boy dude.
The guy from Game of
Game
Thrones.
of
Yeah,
Thrones.
Yeah.
man.
I'm like, no.
A Eastern European guy is playing.
He's playing
an
freaking
English-
Anubis.
an Egyptian god.
Anubis.
Yeah, see,
Who's like the blackest person? He's the blackest
He's the
god.
blackest of all of
He's
them.
a jackal. Come
Yeah.
on.
yeah.
It's like, what the fuck, man? Yeah. But anyway, okay.
But
back-
hell, I
but
mean,
you know,
I mean, look at Exodus or whatever. Gods
Oh
and Kings or
God!
whatever.
Don't even. But
Same thing.
that's the reason why they shouldn't have even allowed that shit.
Yeah,
Because
I
of the
agree.
dude had to apologize for that shit. Now, what's his name? What's the guy's name? The director? It's the same guy who did Dark
Ridley
City.
Scott?
No, Ridley Scott did Exodus, but the guy who did Alex Proyas, I think his name is.
Yeah.
He apologized at the casting. Because it's like hardly any black people in the fucking heart of Africa. What are you fucking kidding me?
Come
Or
on,
at least-
you
at
want to tell me that dude
At
did not
least
have
go
any
to
choice at all?
Egypt and get somebody.
Even if
who
they're
can act,
unknown
you know?
brown
you know
people
what?
that can
like,
act.
and then the funniest thing is that when you look at people like Omar Sharif, who's one of the greatest actors of
Yeah,
all
yeah.
time,
Yeah.
was an Egyptian person.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, like honestly,
Yeah.
are they trying to say there are no actors?
Exactly. It's bullshit. And
Even-
then in the comics we're gonna get hit up with a whole bunch of people like saying, "Oh no, what you talking about? It's Hollywood, blah blah blah. Get over it." Just because they do it doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's the same thing. This is the same kind of nonsense that you get in terms of like when Wonder Woman was cast.
Oh my God!
As
she was
whatever,
gonna
it's
be,
the same nonsense.
yeah.
People complain about that, but when you have black actors or black gods being played by white people, it's not a problem. now?
Yeah, it should be
Like,
a
come
problem.
on.
We get you if they did a true to life, not Marvel store, but true to life Norse mythological film, and they had all black Vikings, wouldn't people would
crazy.
be burning down movie theaters and shit? You know what I mean?
A black
They'd
guy
be-
called Beyond. We shall dine in Valhalla. Like, come on, man. But you know what? The coolest thing is that I think, but unfortunately, he was cast as Cross in Thor. But I don't know what his name. Adelaide Akudo, the guy who was in Oz.
Yeah,
He actually.
Mr. Echo.
Yeah,
Yeah, he actually
Adewale,
he actually wants to play a character in Black Panther. So
Yeah.
he's always a good
Watch
choice.
them make him be the freaking ape dude. What's he called?
Man,
The
ain't he should be Zuri. They should work him out. He could be
They can make
Zuri.
him man ape.
Man, they better not. I'll walk out of that theater.
Why?
If
He'll be
Manape
black?
is in that movie.
But
I will walk out of that. I will throw my drink at the screen and walk the fuck out of there if Manape is in that movie.
so who
Watch
but,
him be
but,
in the movie.
but we
Man,
all
they better
agree
not.
that
I like Chadwick
Andy
Boseman.
Serkis is
Oh,
a good
he's-
choice to
he's
play
awesome.
to play Claw.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
I
totally.
think he's brilliant. And when I saw
Oh,
like
yeah.
the trailer for the thing, and then you could see what was the trailer? There was a trailer he was in for
Oh,
I think it
Civil
was
War. I mean,
Avengers.
for Avengers 2.
and then he was in it, and he looked super dope.
He looked the part. He would make a better action figure than the Claw that we got. Oh my God!
I think
That Marvel Legends Claw was
Looking like
terrible.
Malnourished.
so
Help
between
me.
him and Chadwick Boseman, I think they'll do a good.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman is dope. I still hate that they shit on Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's one
Yeah.
of my favorites.
I actually picked him. He was my first choice.
He's one of my
for
favorites.
Panther.
Yeah, but
Period.
I don't know. I think he'll be awesome in
Oh yeah.
in the new what's that thing called?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
That'll be
stills
good.
and the photos for the movie
Oh, I
actually
forgot
look
about
super
that.
dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the stills and the pictures for the movie look good. So I don't know. Chiwetel would have actually been a very good choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I've seen there's a movie that he does, which is an African movie where he's in Nigeria and he's married to like Sandy Newton or something.
Oh wow!
And he nails that accent. Obviously, he nails it because he's African.
Of
course, 'cause
it's not like he's trying.
Yeah, but maybe he would have been too old to play Black Panther, and that's the reason why they went with Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
Because like T'Challa is actually a young person,
Yeah.
more or less.
he is young.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. So that's cool.
Who do you guys think should play Everett K. Ross? Because you know he's going to show up in the movie. Because
Who?
Everett K. in the Christopher Priest run, like the very first issue, Everett Ross was the American
Is he the
liaison.
friend? Okay, yeah, I remember.
For T'Challa when he came to America for the to investigate the Tomorrow Day scandal. He was basically supposed to escort him and show him around and everything. So I'm like, and I'm thinking like that guy's definitely going to be in the movie because in the comic he kind of served as like a bit of a comic relief, kind of fish out of water type situation.
Mm-hmm.
So plus the fact that I mean obviously they need to diversify the cast, so they're going to cast a white guy in the movie to play something.
I don't even care. Whatever,
And I know I know he's gonna be in the movie, so
yeah.
Just because of that,
they could cast me. Whiteface. Come on, Hollywood.
But hey, we're
getting
getting way off topic because we were talking about
Captain America.
Captain America, not Black Panther the movie. I'm just glad though that Black Panther got screen time and we know he's in there and we see him actually doing shit like he's outrunning Cap and kicking Bucky in the face.
I know,
with
right?
both feet, not just
Dropkick.
not just one. And I like Bucky. Don't get me wrong, but it's cool to see like they're showing that he's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. I hope he doesn't get too much time in the film where they have him, possibly getting his ass whooped. It'd be dope if he shows up, handles some business, and leaves.
Yeah.
So we can be like, holy shit, who was that guy? And people will want to see him.
Geeked for the movie.
Because that's what we need. That's what we really need.
I don't know, the way Marvel does their characters though, man, like everybody's so toned the fuck down.
Well,
like,
in some ways it's good, but he doesn't look toned down at all. You kidding me? He was outrunning Cap. He was actually running faster than the car.
Like, there's going to be a scene at some point. I mean, I know we're going to talk about Jessica Jones later, but because that kind of applies.
Well, yeah, but that's different. The Netflix stuff, that's a whole different world. We can get into that too. The Netflix, they have a different set of rules than the Marvel. That's the problem I have with that show.
Yeah.
It's a different set of rules from the films. Because they can't go to the levels that the films are going to when it comes to the superheroics and shit. So, like, they don't even have, like, an action choreographer and shit like that. It's literally kind of, like, bare bones. So you just get it. They're strong. You know what I mean? Luke Cage is so strong, he's bored when he gets into fights. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that's where they're going. And in Daredevil, people are so wowed. I mean, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go into that.
Yeah, I know.
People were wild about a lot of stuff with Daredevil, but when you really think about it, like, he's not as good as he should be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You should have been getting beat up by regular
thugs.
dudes.
Like, every episode, he's getting beat up by thugs. Then they had the fucking gall to make him fight a hand ninja.
Yeah.
And that hand ninja was eating him up.
Yeah, he was. He was filleting his ass.
It was kind of funny. It was like, this is not the Daredevil that I was reading, because the Daredevil I was reading, even as a blind guy, he's still, like, like, Wolverine couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And then they have him fight, and he's struggling with one ninja. In the comic, he's struggling with like 100 of them.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, yeah, it's 100 fucking undead ninjas. Like, that makes sense, So anyway, yeah, there's like this big wall between like, this is street level, this is like anything is possible in the films.
But that's why I'm like, okay, so then if you're trying to establish those kinds of rules in the TV series, then what happens when you do the Defenders movie? Like, are you gonna disregard that? And then it's in the MCU realm, and so everybody's gonna fucking go off with their abilities and shit, or are you gonna try to keep it the same? But then eventually you're gonna end up having those characters interact with the MCU characters that are already there.
I don't think they ever are gonna do that.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think they're gonna have the Defenders and the Avengers ever in the same.
But they could be in like when Thanos shows up, because
they could, but I don't see them doing it because it's too many. It's the problem. Yeah, it's too many people, and it's too many different creative teams that are working on each of these individual things. So, like, it's the problem that DC is having, and DC was stupid about it from the giddy up with the whole, like, they're going to have 2 Barry Allens, and we're not talking a multiverse story. They just said, oh, yeah, fuck Grant Gustin. We've cast someone else for the film. Then what was the point in having this guy on TV so we can watch him for season after season portray Barry Allen and go through all that cool stuff? And then when we get to the movie, it's not even the same guy. And you're going to tell a new origin, a whole nother something. Like, that just is stupid.
What I don't get in regards to The Flash is the fact that they're covering some of the stories of, like, the Flashpoint paradox. Like, the fact that he goes into the fast and tries to
that happened in that is Flashpoint, but it also happened in early, like,
Flash
post crisis or pre-crisis and post-crisis story.
But now the thing is like, once you watch The Flash, you know the whole storyline. So why would you pay money to go to a movie?
To go to a movie about it, yeah.
Watch The Flash again.
Yeah. It's kind of
Even
painful.
Supergirl, it's like Supergirl. Nobody cares about that. Nothing against women. That show is garbage. But The Flash is actually a good show.
Yeah,
and
it is.
like you know, keeping the two.
The Flash is like the best
separate.
cartoon. I mean, the best comic book show we've had on television.
I know, right?
In years,
and like
decades.
it's just disappointing because like I actually like Ezra Miller.
Yeah,
And
but he should be, if he's going to be a Flash, just make him Wally West.
Exactly.
Call it a day.
Yeah.
But now what they're going to do is
on the TV show they just introduced Wally West.
I didn't.
So
They did?
Yeah, last week.
Oh, okay. That episode.
Yeah, so
it's not up on
that,
the place that I go to watch TV does not have that episode yet.
So that's gonna be a problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or they could make him Impulse. Like
They're not going to.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
They're not going to do the kids.
What's wrong with making him Impulse?
No, I don't think anything's wrong with it. They're just not going to because he's a kid. He's a child hero. And they're not doing... I think actually USA has the rights to the child characters.
They
because
do?
they're doing a Teen Titans series.
Are they still doing that? I thought that was on TNT.
Yeah, TNT. You're right.
Okay.
TNT, not USA.
That show is not gonna be good.
It depends. I mean, there's been some good shows on TNT. You know?
Name a few.
Burn Notice was one. I used
That
to like
was on
that show.
USA.
That was
Oh, that was USA?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Never mind.
Never
mind. I was trying to think of other ones.
I know there are shows on TNT. I just can't think of any.
It's like that show with
really
Sean
watch
Bean
it.
where he doesn't die now.
Yeah.
Like that legend show. Like I would never watch that unless he dies. And not watch that episode. I'm
That
like,
is
oh my
what
god,
he
he
does.
just died. This is so boss.
That is what
So-
he does. But yeah, I apologize in advance if you hear children or a child.
Chilling.
The children, because my little Strydent is here. It's actually almost his bedtime. But yeah, so that trailer was dope. I like the fact though that we got to talk more about Civil War itself because I like the fact that they're rewriting what it is.
Oh yeah, they need
And like,
to.
because yeah, the other one didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like when you go back and read it now, it's kind of like you just wanted these guys to
Yeah,
fight.
exactly.
Let them fight.
Yeah.
They just wanted to let them fight.
It was like a high school brawl where everybody's at the back of the school like fight, 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 fight. So this guy's just stomping out.
Yeah.
But you know what? I expected maybe we would have seen a snip of Spider-Man. He was cast.
No,
in the
I knew
movie.
they weren't gonna do that.
I don't know. I thought he's like a really integral character in Civil War. So
He was in the comic,
Yeah,
but
the comic,
I
but
think
not
because
the-
they rewrote it,
Yeah.
now he can show up as a cameo.
Yeah.
Because I almost guarantee you that's what it's going to be. People are going to make a way bigger deal than they need to out of the fact that, again, Spider-Man
I'll be surprised
exists.
if he's in. Well, no, they do have costume. I guess they are working on a costume.
Yeah,
They say he's supposed to show up in 2 different costumes in the movie.
yeah.
oh, is he gonna get the Iron Man costume? That thing.
No,
was-
No,
Iron
no, no, no,
Spider.
no. I hope not. I think he's going to have like a ghetto homemade costume, and then maybe Tony Stark or somebody will give him
Oh,
his real
legit
duds.
costume.
Because that will make the most sense, because that will tie him to the Avengers, because you know he's an Avenger. Well, he was an Avenger. I don't know what they're doing with him right now. Since they have to reboot everything, make him a kid again, I'm like, ugh.
But at least they're not giving us an origin story again, because that would just be.
I know. I'm glad they said they're not going
Yeah.
to, but I also don't want to see the same villains again. You know what I mean? I want them to legit. The only villain I want to see again is Doc Ock, and I want to see a real Hobgoblin or
Or real Rhino.
Yeah, well, yeah, Rhino needs to be what we're used to. I want to see Shocker. Like, how have we gone this long and not seen Shocker yet?
Yeah.
Or
Craven the Hunter.
Craven, yeah. Then they said Craven will be part of it, so I want to see him. Like, it feels like they need to do justice to the characters that we almost got to see in the Amazing Spider-Man universe.
Yeah.
It's just that the way they were going about doing them just didn't necessarily seem like the best way to do it. But I like the fact that Bucky is the linchpin. The fact that Bucky is now wanted for the crimes he did as the Winter Soldier, and now he no longer has the amnesia, so he's aware that he did all this fucked up shit, but he's also not the same person he was when he did all that jacked up shit. So now Cap has to protect this. I mean, the guy's guilty, but technically,
Yeah, I mean,
he was under mind control.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole nother dilemma for these, like, you know how like Superman is very like, this is the right way to do it, so this is what I'm going to do. And a lot of his best stories deal with this same thing. You can't be 100% like the Boy Scout in situations where there is no black or white.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he has to figure out like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do? Like Superman versus the Elite, or what's so funny
Oh,
about
that was a good
Truth,
movie.
Justice, and the American Way? Like, yeah, it was real good because Superman was like kind of forced to not do what he normally does. He was like, I'm about to like murk you guys.
He lobotomized
lobotomized,
that
yeah.
kid.
Yeah. And that's crazy. You're like, whoa. Like, I mean, it made sense, but it's like, you would never think about these things with Superman, you know, in the same context as Superman. But yeah, Civil War is going to be dope. It's going to be super dope. Okay, Batman versus Superman.
Haha! Let me first begin by I love that trailer, but I unfortunately was kind of disappointed when they showed us Doomsday.
See, so was I.
A lot of people were, but why didn't you?
Yeah, I felt it was too soon. I know they were gonna maybe bring him in, so at the end of the day, Batman and Superman are gonna hug it out and like fight a giant monster or whatever. But
everybody knew that though.
Yeah, but it felt like it was too soon. I felt like they should have dropped that like.
You know, it comes out in March.
Yeah, but 2-3 months, like in February,
that's
and I would
3
have
months.
like.
Oh, you mean
January?
show that trailer
later,
like a month before?
Yeah, but I thought they like after Marvel.
I think they had to do it.
Trailer,
yeah.
They had to like make like people.
Everything
like, oh
is a contest
shock
these
value,
days. So yeah, that's what they were going for, and I could tell. I'm not surprised. I already knew Doomsday was in there. They got the carcass of Zod. What else could you do with the carcass of Zod in the cinematic universe? It was going to a lab, which means they're gonna extract some shit and make some shit. Which the only thing they could do is make Doomsday, because what else are you gonna do? Make more Zods? Like, I didn't see that. I knew they were gonna fight Doomsday because you got all 3 of them in there. You got Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. They're not going to fight Lex Luthor. It doesn't take all 3 of them to take down Lex Luthor. But there's been
Batman.
No. That version of Lex, it would take a guy off the street.
Don't you ever in your life, you
would fight Pete
Yeah.
as a manager at IHOP. Like, hey man, let's duke it up.
It was funny. A friend of mine was telling me that Lex Luthor, like, he doesn't like Jesse Eisenberg or whatever his name is.
But he looked really good in that trailer.
No, he looked like he's supposed to be Lex Luthor, but he was acting like the Joker, but he looked like the Riddler.
I don't think he was acting like the Joker.
Yeah,
that's too much.
He looked like a lame, like Joker on meds.
Jeez. I know, that's too much. I still think, I get what, and this is what we were talking about earlier, I get what they're doing with Lex. A lot of people are like, why isn't he bald? Why? He's going to be bald. He's going to be mean. It's just right now, he's not to that point yet. What they're doing is, instead of giving you the same, you know, Gene Hackman-inspired version of Lex you've been getting forever, they're saying that guy is his dad. This is a new Lex. It's a whole nother Lex, because in the comics, they also did introduce Lex's dad and, you know, Alexander Luthor Jr. That's who we've been looking at all these years. It's Junior. It's just they never, you know, some books don't really even touch on that. Like, what happened to his dad? Did his dad die? Did his dad, like, get killed? What happened to him? They don't really talk about it.
The only thing that ever did that was Smallville.
Yeah, Smallville, it explored that whole relationship.
Yeah, but I think he was a good casting. He looks like he's just like
he looks fucking crazy,
super sinister.
Yeah,
and he actually looks kind of brilliant. Like, he has that whole, like, you know, Elon Musk thing. Except he's not gonna give us a free engine, you know. So come on, man. Like, I think it was a good choice.
Yeah, because he's gonna flip. He can do the serious part. You know, he can do the serious part. Plus, you know that based on these movies, it's not gonna be goofy. Like, people are jumping off.
Yeah, like the Kevin Spacey. Like, Lex, it was like, he's doing this to create islands. Like, dude, you're doing this for real estate?
Man, that whole
what are you, like Donald Trump?
Not even
that was garbage.
Superman-sized dump.
Hot garbage. That was a doomsday size.
So, and then, you know, like, the best part from the trailer for me was when, like, Superman, as in Clark Kent, and, like, we're trading jobs. I was like, oh, it must be the Gotham in me. We have a thing about clowns and what was it? Like,
clowns in costumes.
Yes, I was like, oh, sweet reference to the new movie. What's that thing called?
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so I think that was like the best part. Like I watched that part like 600 times. Okay, maybe like 700 times. Let's just be real.
And I wasn't even gonna watch that trailer because I already knew I was gonna watch the movie. So I kind of once I decide, I cut off so I can be surprised when I go see the film. But for the sake of this podcast, I was like, all right, I'll watch this trailer so we can all have something to talk about.
95% of the trailer was stuff you already know. So it was like, you know, people overreacting, which I'm going to get into that when we start talking about Jessica Jones. It's people doing what they always do, and they're overreacting about something real simple. Like, all of a sudden, we have this fucking culture. Don't spoil it for me, bro. Don't spoil it. Like, motherfucker, it's a trailer. The fuck? That's what the point of the trailer is. It's to
some trailers do spoil the whole movie.
It's true,
so
but
I don't want to.
These days,
I don't take any chances anymore. That's my thing.
Terminator, which is garbage, because they spoil the whole thing.
I didn't mind it.
Like the last Terminator trailers, like you watch a trailer, you've watched the whole movie. Yeah, Genesis.
Oh, you're right. It spoiled the twist.
Yeah, like you reveal the twist, and then people are like, "Why would
that's the exact thing I would try to avoid."
That's different in this with the Superman versus Batman. You already knew Doomsday was in there. Like everybody who's ever read a Superman comic, when you saw what they were gonna do, when they opened up the freaking
and that was in the first
body bag, it was in the very first trailer. It's like, oh yeah, they're gonna reverse engineer a Kryptonian. So you're going to end up with Doomsday. It's the only place you can go with him.
But I like the fact that when he did the heat ray vision, it also came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That was,
his whole head.
Yeah, like his whole head. Like, that was kind of dope. So, and do you think, like, the more he dies, the more, like, the bone will stick out and stuff?
Probably
more like the comics and
I think that's the way it's going to be because there's got to be stages to it.
Yeah, he looked kind of
small.
Kind of wonky and stuff.
He looked like the cave trolls from Lord of the
Rings.
Right?
He looked like a troll. So I think, like, the more he dies, the better. But honestly, the best part of that whole trailer was, like, Wonder Woman showing up.
Yeah.
Because that was like the best entrance ever.
Yeah.
And everybody's like,
and even that, I almost wish that particular shot was not the shot they used.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because that's how they're going to reveal her in the film in costume. I almost guarantee you that's going to be the first time in the film that she's in costume.
Yeah, because they both asked, like, is she with you?
Yeah.
And, Batman's like, no, I thought she was with you.
His voice.
So is that the first time she's showing up in the movie?
In costume. No. I think she'll show up several times out of costume as Diana.
Diana and Bruce have conversation.
They've had bed conversation. They've had mattress conversation.
So are we going to like, in the New 52, Diana and Superman have a thing?
I don't think they're going that.
Do you think they're gonna explore that, or it's still gonna be like Lois Lane and stuff?
Lois is still in Lois, because she's still in the movie.
She's in there, yeah.
So
yeah, and I don't mind. I'm tired of the whole. I think that's the most.
Never went down
it should never ever. That's the most generic direction you could possibly go with two superhuman people. Oh yeah, I'm gonna hump you because you're super powered. But like, who says Superman can't bust just like anybody else?
Are you sure he's not gonna break her hip? Like, come on, Lois is probably like.
I mean, if Batman can throw him, like in World's Finest, if Batman can throw him, then his strength is like anything else. It's like a reflex. Like you have to use it. You have to think about doing it. People have overthought that concept. If Superman has to,
because that one guy did that essay that everybody swears by now.
Yeah,
about, Superman busting nuts and killing people.
And then, they co-signed with
everybody's taking it as the gospel.
Yeah, like, if you've read comics where Superman does his Herculean feats and he's struggling to do them. There's even books that have said that he had mental blocks placed so that he would never go past a certain point because he never wants to use his full potential. So, like, then humping a girl is nothing because that's not him using his full potential. He doesn't need to. Like, Schwarzenegger can bench press how much? It doesn't mean if he shakes your hand, he's going to rip it off.
Question.
People do this, like, overthinking superpowers and not thinking about what they've seen way too much. Like, The Flash. I heard somebody complain about how does The Flash ever get hit in any of the comics or stories. I'm like, because he doesn't do everything in super, like, speed. Like, with super speed.
He doesn't use it to the fullest.
Yeah, he doesn't use it to the fullest every time. There's stories where when he does, shit happens. You know what I mean? Because that's what would happen if you had that kind of power. So it's like, you know what I mean? Think about it. Like Flashpoint is one of them. Freaking Crisis was another one when he ran through time and shit. And is all that crazy backlash that happened because of it. He ran into non-existence.
Question.
What's up?
Because we were talking about Superman busting nuts. When he does it, you think he does it
Are
like
you really
Soulja
gonna
Boy?
think
It's like
so hard?
Superman Beyond.
Oh
like,
my god!
I would totally
Bro,
do
sit
that.
in
Like,
the
it was
corner.
Superman.
Oh my
That
god!
would be my theme song. Like,
Oh my god! Oh.
Boss.
Oh my god! Never again. Moving on. I still think that to me I don't have an issue with the trailer like
Ouch.
that. That was terrible. What's wrong with you?
No, I know I'm never gonna get invited to this thing again. So may as well have fun with it.
No.
YouTube, enjoy this.
What? Oh, you do? All right, I'll be back. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst ourselves. Phil, tell us something.
Way to put me on the spot. I guess in the meantime, I did start watching Noragami, the second season.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and I do like that better than I like it better than the first season.
I've never watched that show.
You never did?
Know what it's about?
You know the Devil's a part-timer? You were telling.
Oh,
we were
yeah,
talking
for
about,
real. Yeah.
Noragami Arigato or something like that. But yeah, I mean, so far it's pretty good. But I mean, I guess we can't talk. I thought you started watching it.
No.
'Cause that's why you brought it up the last time.
Noragami?
Yeah.
I know. I watched it. There was a part-timer, but that's it.
Oh, the first season?
Yeah.
Right.
Did they make a second season?
Yeah, it's out now. It's like 10 episodes in.
I should watch that, but I don't know. Like, I'm just getting tired of the whole slice of life thing. And I have,
Oh no, this isn't slice of life.
You sure?
Like the second season's no. It's more about. It deals actually more about the god Bishamon, because she has.
It's not like a God of War. Or something.
Yeah, she's the god of war.
Mhm.
Because in the first one, remember she was trying to kill. God, I forgot his name all of a sudden. She was trying to kill the main character.
Yeah.
And you never found out why exactly. She just kept saying he's a god of calamity, so he needs to die. You know, and then you find out why in the second season why she's got such a vendetta against him. And I mean, it makes sense. It's not trying to like blow your mind or go for any super deep meaning or anything. It's just entertaining action anime. And so I'm so tired of all these, shows that have been coming out trying to tell you something in the most cryptic or the most super intellectual way possible, and then not really getting their point fully across, like in a way that most everyone would understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ergo Proxy. Like a lot of people are like, oh, that anime's so dope, blah blah blah. But I fucking hate that anime because
I hate it. It was I couldn't stomach more than one episode.
Yeah, I watched maybe the first two and I quit because I was like, I see what you're trying to do, but most people don't read about like psychology and all that shit. Some of the references, some of the visual references, like the only way you're gonna know about them is if you actually are an expert in that field, or if you do your own research after you watch the show and figure out all that shit on your own. Most people going in aren't gonna know all that stuff. Most Japanese people don't know about that stuff. So, you show that to an American audience, they're not everybody's gonna get it. Motherfuckers are gonna act like they got it, but they don't, but they didn't,
It's like watching the Christopher Nolan thing. What's this thing called? The one in space, Interstellar.
Oh.
Yeah, let's all pretend like we got that movie. And I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, 16 hours later. I watched that movie, it was so introspective, but I didn't get like shit in that whole movie. Man.
I didn't watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
What, for real?
Yeah, because Christopher Nolan is overrated to me.
What?
Like people love Inception, but I was like, dude, if you pay attention to your own dreams, there's nothing he showed you that you haven't dreamt yourself. At least I haven't dreamt myself. Like, in fact, he could have taken it even further, but he didn't for whatever reason. Plus, I'm also like, I like conspiracy theories, so I'll look into like the whole, like I looked into like, back when I first started getting into that stuff, I read about like MK Ultra and, mind control and all that. And the idea of putting an idea in someone's head without them realizing it. I mean, we've seen that. It's just the only thing I'll give Nolan credit for is he took that concept and put it in a movie in a way that anybody can understand it. You know, he not only told you about it through the dialogue in the film, but he also visually showed you in action, like in execution, how it all works. So it makes sense, and that's why people get it, and that's why people feel like they're so smart after they watched it. But you know, all he did was take something that's all he did was take a concept that it's not that hard to understand, but then dumbed it down further and put it in a format that people can watch and like get in and enjoy and everything, which is fine and everything. But like I don't feel like it was as prolific as everybody puts it up there to be. Same thing with the Batman movies. After the first one, I was good. Then the second one, and the third one was complete and utter garbage.
What?
Yeah, the third Batman movie was ass. Because
the second one you were like
the second one because
really?
okay at the end. Now remember the end when Jim Gordon's kid asks him, you know, why are they trying to go after Batman? He saved us. And then Jim Gordon says, you know, he's the hero Gotham deserves. He's not the hero we need or whatever, that bullshit. It sounded good at the time, but when you go back and think about it, there was no reason for them to send the authorities after Batman. Like, I've asked people to explain this because people say there's a reason why, but then they never explain it online. So I've asked people, like, why? Because when Jim Gordon comes up there and he tells Harvey Dent, no one knows who's up here. Nobody knows what's going on. I told all the cops to just form a perimeter and wait for my order. So everything that transpires between Harvey Dent, Gordon's son, the wife, and Batman. So they could have easily blamed the entire thing on the Joker, but they didn't. Instead, they let Batman take the fall for it because that's how Christopher Nolan wrote it. But there's like Joker's been doing foul shit the entire movie. Why couldn't you? And everybody knows he had henchmen doing his own thing, also like doing his bidding and running around acting crazy or whatever, committing crimes and whatnot. So why couldn't you have just said, you know, the Joker? This was all a plot by the Joker, especially after that whole debacle with the two ships. You could have easily pinned everything on the Joker and called it a day. Nobody had to know what exactly all went wrong. Nobody had to know anything about Harvey Dent losing his shit and trying to kill, you know, Jim Gordon's family. But nobody ever explains why the movie plays out the way it does and why that makes more sense. Like I've asked everybody I've told everybody that I've talked to about it the same exact scenario, and they never have. They can never explain to me why the movie version works and why my scenario doesn't.
You talking about the Harvey Dent act?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any damn sense.
Because especially since people saw the Joker do everything he did on
Exactly.
television.
Yeah. So why couldn't you just blame it on the Joker and call it a day?
It's true. You know how it is. People don't want to think. They want the story kind of handed to them, and they don't want to think past what they were given. I mean, you sat there and you watch a whole movie where the Joker commits atrocities, and the news covers those atrocities. Then Harvey Dent does it, and they say, we're going to cover up what he did because we don't want people to know what happened to him because of him dealing with the Joker. So then you make a law about organized crime, and you name it after Harvey Dent, and then you attack Batman? Like, even as I'm telling you this, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, Batman really is kind of like, you've seen Batman actually fight the Joker, or stand up to the Joker. He didn't really ever fight him. He got his ass handed to him by the Joker. I guess that's why people love that version of the Joker so much, is because he beat the shit out of Batman with a fucking pipe or something. But, you know, like, yeah, that's one of those things. Nolan's Batman is overrated. And it's like, if you think about it, like his so-called realistic, gritty take, and his Batman is not Jason Bourne. Like, his Batman should be on Jason Bourne's level or Solid Snake's level.
Jason Bourne would.
They would eat him alive. Like, he really was not capable of doing shit. He
Jason Bourne would pick up a pen and stab him over.
Stab him in the face with a pen. I mean, like, you think about those movies and the fact that, and I know people are going to hate me because I'm saying it, or hate you because we're saying it and we're not bandwagoning. He doesn't actually do anything for Gotham. After Batman Begins, he's useless. Gordon deals with the Joker in the Dark Knight, and Catwoman kills Bane, and fucking what's her name kills herself in the third movie. So it's like, what did Batman actually do besides be like the kind of like the nougat? He's the nougat center, the chewy center of the story. I mean, he humped what's her name, you know? Okay, you lost all your money by some magical stroke of computer genius.
That
so
nobody in all of Gotham couldn't have done any kind of computer forensics. Being that
this is wrong.
They know Bane broke in there and did something to the computer.
Because it's Nolan's reality. It's not reality. And people say, oh, it's real, it's gritty. It's like, I'm sorry. That Batman could get arrested. He would probably get arrested. Like, the FBI would just knock on his door and be like, put your hands up, sir. Like, it's that obvious, you know what I mean? He keeps all his weapons at Wayne Industries so that everybody could just anyone could walk in and just be like, oh.
Yeah, the one guy in the second movie figured it out, working for Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not as smart as people say, so I don't know. And slowly people are coming around. I noticed when Rises was the last straw for a lot of people. First, it was so awesome. You know, they ripped up the plane in midair, man. Why? Why didn't they just kidnap the dude and just call it a day? Crash the damn plane. Land the plane in the middle of nowhere. Something. But they ripped it up and then dropped the pieces somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, like even the way they did it, the plane, like the wings get ripped off, and then you figure they went at least several miles before they dropped off the rest of the plane. You know, they have people that that cover like crime scene or forensic airplane crashes, and they pick over all the pieces, and they figure out what exactly happened, how the plane actually hit the ground, and everything. None of that shit is going to make sense to anybody who does that for a living.
Exactly.
Even the fact that even finding the body, like, you're going to test the blood or whatever parts are left because the body's going to be in pieces.
Or charred beyond recognition.
Yeah. So you're going to find, like,
teeth.
DNA from one person and then DNA from another person. None of that shit's going to match up.
Yeah. It's just there was a lot of things that only work in that story if you just take it the way it was delivered to you, and people need to think past that. When you watch a movie, you pay attention. You don't just turn your brain off completely and sit there and watch. I mean, that's what Transformers was for. You turn your brain off and you watch that shit and you ignore all logic because the story literally will tell you something 1 minute and then contradict it the next. That's fine. Turn your brain off. Just enjoy the special effects and the awesome sound and cinematography and all the explosions. I get that. Yeah, and all the scrawny white women that they want to show at you. But like with the Batman movies, he's the world's greatest detective who does no detective work in 3 movies. I'm sorry, there's things missing. There's lots of things missing.
The figuring out the gun caliber thing.
That's bullshit. You didn't even need to do all that. You just need to look at the fucking shell that you ended up with. Look at what he didn't even look at. There's a casing. There's a bullet. You tell us what's what. That's how you know what the shit is. You don't have to go through all that. Let's get this cool automated gun thing with the arm on it.
Plus, I don't think you can fire a handgun bullet out of a minigun. I think the calibers would be totally different.
I don't know. That was their high-tech criminology. That was Nolan's high-tech criminology. That's what Batman went to Tibet to learn. How to put bullets inside of, chain guns and shit. And I don't know, like I said, it's overrated. It's super overrated. He was also getting beat up by thugs in different situations, or having trouble with a bunch of people. Whereas like the Batman that we know, he'd slap regular folks. It'd be like if The Rock went nuts. If he went ballistic, regular people aren't going to stop him. I mean, yeah, he's a wrestler and wrestling is fake, but the moves are not fake. And if you got caught in those moves,
you're not gonna fake gravity when he drops you.
When he fucking rock bottoms you. When he rock bottoms that ass, it's done. Like, you're gonna really feel that shit. And he's a big guy. He's pretty strong. if he was to go nuts or something, I mean, there's people who can fight better. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure someone will put him in a fucking ankle lock or some shit, and he'll stop. But what I'm saying is, if he was to go nuts, a drug-induced like rage or something, yeah, homeboy's gonna, yeah, he would fucking murder some folks. You know, any of those big ass wrestling dudes, UFC guys, whatever. If they went nuts, they would destroy folks, and that's not someone with Batman's level of training. Now we're talking about a guy who went to Tibet to learn all this crazy stuff and learn under these masters, and he already had martial arts training. And now you're going to tell me that he can't deal with like cops and he can't deal with a crazy guy with Riri strength and like, come on, man, like that's not the Batman that we've been reading for all this time. This dude's like barely capable of doing what he needs to do.
He's not even the Batman we deserve. He's just the one we got.
I know, right? He's good enough. The movie should have been called the Commissioner Gordon Trilogy. I'm serious. Like I've said this before, Commissioner Gordon did all the work, Catwoman did the rest of it. That's what it should have been. It should have been elevate Commissioner Gordon to superhero status. I mean, shit, they put him in a Batman costume in the comics.
And they gave him his own show.
Yeah, I know. Oh, we're not even going to talk about that shit.
That show is not that bad.
That show's terrible. Jesus, terrible. Really? Why do you watch Batman?
For Batman.
So why make a show called Gotham that does not have Batman?
It has Bruce Wayne.
No. You said you watch it for Batman. You see how fast this is how people are trained. You see how fast you answered me? It was like the first thing you said was the exact right answer. 100%. Not the answer I want to hear. It's the answer. It's called Batman. That's what it's been called for 75 years. And then in year 75, they make a show called Gotham that does not have Batman. You can lick the back of my ball sack, Warner Brothers. That's some bullshit. It worked for Smallville because Superman learned how to be Superman in Smallville, and then he went off to Metropolis. That's where he built his character. Then he went off to Metropolis, and that's where the legend was born. But like Batman, everything is Gotham. Everything takes place in Gotham. The criminals even started coming out of the woodwork because there was a Batman. Batman started off fighting organized crime. How do you have the supervillains before you have Batman? And all of a sudden it's like, bring on the villains. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? What are they fighting? No cop in Gotham can deal with any of those villains until Batman shows up to help them. That's how stupid the show is. And people are like, yeah! Thank you! I know you do. I know you do, but you didn't think about it. You're just being entertained.
Thank you, Bruno Heller, for a fantastic show.
Whatever. For a fantastically terrible afterthought of a show. God. I mean, honestly, it's like watching Spider-Man and not having Spider-Man in the show. Like, what's the point? No one wants to watch the show for only Peter Parker, except for maybe like the girlies that are like full of, fangirls for just, like Andrew Garfield or just Tobey Maguire, but they don't care about
Does Tobey Maguire have fangirls?
I don't know. I'm just saying, you know how it is. Still, he was the best Spider-Man that we had. I mean, in some ways,
True.
In many ways, because he's not supposed to be cool. I mean, that's the thing. We like him in the costume.
He wasn't that funny.
Yeah.
And that was the only problem.
That was the problem.
Garfield was funny.
Yeah, he was.
And that's the only problem I had with Spider-Man.
Yeah, me too. That's the difference in writing, though. You got to give them their props. That's the difference in writing. But they got everything else spot on.
True.
Everything else was spot on, except for 3, and that's studio involvement. So, yeah, I agree with Agent O about the whole Batman thing. It's overrated.
I think Inception's overrated.
Going back to Man
Before
of
he came back
Superman, are the other guys still getting like cameos in the movie, like
I think so.
Cyborg and Aquaman and stuff?
I think so, but I don't think it's what people are thinking. I think it's like, say Batman breaks into a place and there's like screens of shit that Luthor maybe was monitoring. You're gonna see.
You don't think they'll show up in real person?
I don't think all of them are.
I mean, Cyborg's not going to show up as Cyborg.
Yeah, obviously he'll show up.
You're probably going to see Vic Stone playing football. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think, like, people were all, and this is what annoys me, and I want to go into it more when we talk about Jessica Jones, because when we talked about it, on Thanksgiving, we kind of hit on where I'm about to go with it. But, like, people heard that the characters were in there, and they immediately start demonizing the film as if, like, all these characters will be fully formed. They've already gone through their arcs. They're showing up literally as, Cyborg, Aquaman, whatever, as if they've already been through all their shit. How is that even possible when the Justice League doesn't exist yet? You know what I mean? And they're gonna show you like arcs for each of these characters. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not gonna be like, you know, Green Lantern, and he could actually already be Green Lantern at this time. You know what I mean? And we just don't know because he's off in space doing shit.
But they haven't decided on which Green Lantern they're
It's
going to
be
show us.
both. It's gonna
both
be
him and John Stewart?
It's him and John Stewart. It's gonna be like a lethal. They said lethal weapon in space.
Oh my God, who's too old for this shit? Hal Jordan? I get that.
That'd be dope. give him the freaking gray on the sides and everything. That'd be perfect. I'm getting too old for this shit.
But I don't know. I've been reading on blogs and like the Twitter sphere where people are commenting on like
the Twitter sphere
on like Jason Momoa, because you know they gave him the costume and everything. So
yeah.
it would kind of be disappointing if he doesn't actually show up. I think
he will show up as Aquaman.
So,
but what I'm saying is that between now and his own film, things are going to change.
Obviously.
So the Aquaman you're going to get in the solo film and the Aquaman you get now is not going to be the same shit. So like it's like people are getting a preview, so to speak. It's a cameo. You're getting a little taste of what you might get in the other films.
But the question is, which Jason Momoa will it be? Like, will it be Arthur Curry before he has all that?
Never know.
I think they're gonna change his name because like Arthur Curry sounds like the whitest name.
Yeah.
And it's a Polynesian dude playing a dude called Arthur Curry.
Well, it depends on who he's raised by. If he's adopted, like what they're
like
gonna
Storm.
Yeah.
Let's not go down the hole that is Fantastic Four.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they'll come up with a good enough reason, and if not, just give him a new name. It's not going to hurt anything. You're already going down the route of making him Polynesian and changing the people of Atlantis to be like a Polynesian culture.
I think that would be like the best thing.
It's the best. One of the best changes.
That's gonna be like the best DC movie if they get.
You think so?
Did they decide on a director? Justin Lin is
the director.
He did good things with Fast and Furious.
Yeah, he's a good director. He knows action, and I know the movie's gonna have a shitload of action.
I'm just worried about how the action is gonna play off underwater. Because
don't think about it like that. Remember, the city itself is not underwater.
Well, not all parts of it.
Not all of it. The city itself is under the water, but there's domes.
Oh, yeah.
So once they're in the domes, it's just like being out here. It's just
you think
your
there's
city
going to be
is
an Aqua Kid? I would love to see
Aqualad. Yeah.
Aqualad, sorry.
That'll be dope.
Man,
they're not going to, I don't think, and I hope, if they're smart, I hope they never use the name Aquaman. I hope they actually, he's one of the characters. I hope he is King Orin of Atlantis. Just like Diana of Themyscira. Stop calling her Wonder Woman. That shit's redundant as fuck. It's like that. Those are the characters that you need to change that shit. I don't think like Spider-Man or Batman or Catwoman. You don't change those names. Like, why? You know what I mean? She's a cat burglar. Why can't she be Catwoman? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But in the movie, in Nolan's wonderful, illustrious trilogy, they just call her Selena Kyle. They never called her Catwoman. I think there was a newspaper clipping that called her Catwoman. But they never called her by name, by the actual name. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's gonna be called by the actual.
I hope they don't call him Aquaman.
Because like, come on,
even in
like,
the comics, he
doesn't
like
do it as read all those toys. Do you think kids will be like, oh, let's go get?
Well, no. On the merchandising, obviously he's gonna be Aquaman because that's the character. You know, that's what he's always been called, and that's how you sell it. That's the brand. But what I mean is, in the film, refer to him as the King of Atlantis. I mean, like that would be kind of dumb. You're a king, and they're calling you Aquaman, like. You'd be like, fucking respect me, bitch. Like, my name is, King Orin of Atlantis. Call me that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you'll address me as. And it's Jason fucking, like, almost 7 feet tall Momoa. Like, you will probably say what he tells you to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would kind of be lame for him to just be like, oh, yeah, you can call me Aquaman. That makes sense.
Okay.
I'm a man underwater. Like, yeah, okay. But, yeah. I dig what they're about to do. I really do.
So is it time for us to
talk about
Jessica Jones?
Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah, yo! My boy here is super into it. He's the only person who defending it, calling it film noir.
No. I mean, it's got elements of film noir in it.
How about
let's talk about this. Let's talk about
like, that is like wait. Like anybody got time for a big film noir? Like honestly, that show was hot. Garbage.
You thought it was garbage?
I thought it was so soft. Like
I thought it was okay.
Utilized like it is so like the pacing is really bad in that show. And this is stuff we even talked about in
You think so?
Yeah. Like, I don't like it. Like, I don't know why.
I thought the pacing was fine.
Maybe it's because, like, I was never a big fan of Jessica Jones.
I wasn't either. Most people don't even
Most
know
people
that the
don't know who
fucking
she
comic
is.
I've read a
existed.
couple of comics and stuff, and I know, like, her basic backstory.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, it wasn't exhilarating.
I think it was a good series just on its own merits. There were good things about it, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's some groundbreaking shit that people need to be like losing their minds over.
I think she
You
would
know,
have
I mean,
been
a lot of those people are so happy that they have a female character who's badass, and
But she
they
was
can
like
hook
that
up to,
12-year-old badass like emo bullshit.
I'm just
that they
saying
always
that's what
do.
people are into. I don't necessarily agree. I mean, it's about time we got something like that, but I don't think it's as, like you're saying, it's not
like
as
your
awesome as everybody.
your freaking role model is an alcoholic,
Yeah.
fucking hoe, and like everybody's like, oh yeah, that's empowering, and it's blah blah. Like, wait a second, she wasn't even a good person except for the fact that she knew Kilgrave was worse, and he had done bad things to her as well as other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like she was, and I'm really sick of the whole. America has this habit of taking people who are not the best examples of humanity and trying to turn them into the best examples of humanity. You know what I'm saying? Like, they say shit like in the media, oh, we like our heroes to have flaws and blah, blah, blah. And by flaws, it's always like, you know, or you watch someone get killed. Oh, you're an alcoholic. Oh, you're on drugs. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Because it makes all those people who have these specific issues feel better about themselves with their issues, as opposed to someone who's an example of what you could be, which is better than what you are right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, something to strive for. And it's getting tired because, like, she's not a like, she's fucking running around in a big ass leather jacket with motorcycle boots and shit. Doesn't ride a motorcycle. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't have a car. Her friends give her rides everywhere.
Gloves.
Oh, and she's got fingerless fucking gloves. And every time she sits down, she's drinking. I was like, you know, some of this shit is like 12-year-old cool. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you think is cool when we were kids in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
I can forgive the drinking because
the
if
drinking
you go
is
through
the
what
least.
she went through,
Yeah.
I'd be drinking too.
But that's the least. I'm just on when you put it down and you just look at it.
It fits
like,
in that checklist of
these are badass things. Remember in The Punisher when his family died, and I'm not saying I wouldn't probably find some kind of vice to like make myself, you know, feel better. But like, what do the revenge crazed vigilantes always do before they finally build up the mental fortitude to actually take revenge? They'd fucking drown their sorrows in fucking whiskey and bourbon and shit like that. It's the same fucking... It's a cliche scene. In any other action movie, we've seen it with Arnold, we've seen it with Van Damme, we've seen it with Schwarzenegger, and it's all cliche when they do it. Then Jessica Jones does it, and it's like the most awesome thing since fucking Jesus Christ. Like, really? This is what gets on my nerves about our geek culture, is like they're super quick to just like, I don't know. It's like they champion everything related to geek culture, even if it's just kind of Like, we're getting Dark Knight 3, which you were super happy about.
I'm still super happy about it.
But no, I get it. You're happy about it. But like, when people think about the Dark Knight, actually, when you go back and you read it, was there a whole universe there? No, it was one story. And then money dictated that we should get more. And then people were like, yeah! Dark Knight 2 had Superman and Wonder Woman humping in the air like flies. Sorry. And it's like, really? They were like two flies stuck together, flying through mountains and shit while they hump. That's something I never, ever, ever in my entire life wanted to see in a comic. That's the stuff that we sit there as like adolescents and we talk about it because it's like, you know, sex is on your brain. But like, when it actually happens in the book, it's like, whoa, an adult actually sat down and wrote this. And then another adult...
Frank Miller has problems.
Yeah, he has problems. But another adult actually, you know, well, he drew it and wrote it, and he drew it poorly. Yeah. People are beating around the bush about his poorly drawn covers for Dark Knight 3. Come on. Let's be real. Call a spade a spade. Those covers are terrible. I think the one he did of Batman, since he loves Batman so much, is actually not so bad. But the Superman one? Ooh. You know what I'm talking about? The one where he's like mildly erect in the yeah, he's got
I
a
didn't
mild
look at any of the
erection
covers.
and his face looks all jacked up and like he's kind of floating in this goofy pose. It's really bad. Really bad. And people are being real nice to Frank Miller. Let the rest of us do some art like that. Everybody be shitting all over it. That's garbage, bro. Why'd you do that? You need to learn to draw. Shit, put some halfway decent fan art of something on YouTube. Watch what people say. Frank Miller does shitty artwork, even for Frank Miller, and people are like, well, you know, he's being more cartoony. But no, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. This is from one artist to the next. I mean, yeah, I'm not as famous as him. I'm not as old as him. I didn't get the break he got, but I'd be damned if I turn in some work to someone who paid me for some shit like that. Like, And if we did that shit, sent that to DC just as a regular person, you know what editorial would tell us? They'd be like, keep drawing. I see it all the time at conventions. They're like, keep drawing, kid, keep drawing. And they're people 100 times better than Frank Miller as far as art goes. He's got good, you know, he's written some good stories, probably in, you know, the younger days, but not as, no.
Yeah, what was that story he wrote?
All-Star Batman and Robin?
No, not even that garbage. It's even worse than that, I think. It's the one with, I forgot what it's called, but he's fighting, it's what he wanted.
He's fighting the Pope?
No, he's fighting, like, the Jihad or whatever, the Al-Qaeda.
It's called,
It's what he wanted to do originally with Batman.
Yeah.
But
man,
DC
what was
said
that
no.
called? Damn,
I know.
Red Scare or something like that, or Red...
I can't remember. He was basically fighting Al-Qaeda. He's fighting terrorists. And, like, the art isn't that great. The sidekick is some chick in, like, black leather bondage clothing.
Yeah,
like it's very like misogynistic and looking, and it's just not very good. It's not very good at all.
I think it's called the Red Menace.
Yeah, it is. It's called the Red Menace.
Yeah, it was bad. Oh.
Yeah,
I remember reading it in the comic book store, and I was like, "Whoa!" And the comic book store owner was laughing. His name was Tony. He was cracking up. He was like, "Yeah, I already know what you're gonna say," because it's one of those things where you like it if you don't like superheroes, but if you like superheroes, then you're gonna sit there and you're gonna look at it like, "What the heck is going on in this book? I don't get it." But it was pretty bad.
Painful, man.
But Jessica Jones had good moments. I'll give him that. Jessica Jones had good moments in it. I think like Kilgrave's David Tennant's performance as Kilgrave. It was the smarmiest shit I've ever seen. It was good though, but I wasn't as impressed as I was with Daredevil, because I think Daredevil as a film set the bar so low, and even that I don't think the Daredevil film, like when you see the director's cut, it's not really that bad. It's like there's things that are bad, like the slow real speed. It was supposed to be real time, but it was still slow. Yeah. All the fighting. Hey. It just, I don't know. That stuff was bad. The fucking cringeworthy kung fu scene in the park. Yeah. It's like, now we all know who's Daredevil, and we all know who the other chick is.
Oh, when he fought Elektra?
Yeah. Oh, God. And it was like, if you had just cut that scene out and then like had her realize he was blind and they talk outside, that would have been perfect. But no, you went into full-on kung fu for no fucking reason. Like, that killed the whole, like, ugh. But anyway, that in comparison to what we got for the Netflix version of Daredevil, I'm like, wow, that was awesome. The mask, not so much.
Yeah. The costume wasn't good.
The costume is cool.
Was fine.
It's the face with his lips and his nose sticking out. I'm like, ugh.
And that helmet with the geometric pointy horns.
Yeah, it was too. It was like an overly designed costume. It was way over designed. They should have simplified and just had from his nose up covered, and there should have been vents so that he could actually hear.
Yeah, because
his ears are all covered up.
Yeah, the guy who originally...
I'm like, wait, he's
shit, I didn't even notice that.
Most people didn't know.
But the guy who designed the costume, his earlier designs, it was like a screen over the earpiece, so it was still covered, but he could still hear.
That's how it should be.
And it made more sense. I don't know why they went with...
So that you can hear something,
I don't know. I think like costume-wise, like the new Man of Steel costume, I was watching like the clip that came out of the New York Comic Con. Mm-hmm. They were talking about like in Superman's costume, like all those dots are actually Kryptonian symbols.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
I was
makes
like,
sense.
man, that was super dope. Like,
But you know that the
like-
one they did in the one that people give way too much credit in the Bryan Singer version, they were all the little patterns were S's. They
Yeah.
were all it was all the S shield all over the costume.
oh, for real?
And they said that the shield on his chest had like diamonds in it, and they were all S's. I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna. That's so obviously bad that I'm not even going to why it's so bad. We're not gonna-
Let's not even go into the Taylor bikini briefs he had on.
Yeah.
That shit.
Like, there's so many obvious issues with it. Like, people get on Joel Schumacher. Okay, yeah, he put nipples on the bat suit. He had butt shots and crotch shots. Okay, cool. I get it. But from far away, it looked like Batman. Like, the silhouette looked like what we had been getting in the previous ones. You know what I'm saying? And with lighting, with the right lighting, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell there were nipples on the suit. You know what I'm saying? But, like, with Superman, you put him in bikini briefs. You know what I mean? And you changed all the everything.
Everything looks so like fashion contemporary. Like Superman sat there and was designing his suit in fashion design class, and then and that's what we got in Superman Returns.
Yeah.
The small ass S shield, and yeah, just the whole thing. Just it looked like he should have been on the runway. Should have been the Superman on the runway.
Superman on the runway.
Yeah, man.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh, that suit was terrible though. The only problem I had was
No, I'm talking about Superman Returns.
Obviously.
I'm talking about Man of Steel.
Man of Steel, that costume was good. The only thing is it was a bit dark but I don't really care. Like, I think like the way they got rid of
I don't mind
pants.
the dark blue. I think the red should have been a little brighter. I think the red should have been a bit brighter.
Question, and this is something I actually always mean to ask: does the Superman red cape have the S logo on it?
It's supposed to.
Yeah, in some
Because they
versions it
have
does.
it.
and-
Some of it has it. In some comics it has.
Yeah.
In some comics it doesn't. So
I think it's one
usually,
of those
like I
things
said,
that's up to artists' interpretation because
Yeah.
it's supposed to, like Christopher Reeve and all the early comics and the toys, they always have the
Yeah.
freaking.
Some artists don't feel like drawing the S shield
always
on
there.
the cape with all the folds and shit on it.
It's supposed to be on there. People just get lazy and they're just
Yeah.
like, why would he have the S on there or whatever? Why would he do this? Because they don't want to draw it, you know? Hey, stop. Yeah, it's laziness. It's them being lazy. Every version just about, except for like the newer versions, like the one from Injustice doesn't have the S shield on there. But, it's one of those things. I just think people need to stop screwing with the design and just get the performance right, and give them something to do, and then that's good. What's his name? He didn't do right by the character at all.
Who, Henry Cavill?
Singer. Henry Cavill's fine. He looks like Dan Jurgens' Superman. Like, that's what I think of when I see him.
I think he's like, other than Christopher Reeve, he's the best.
He's the best Superman we've had.
That's
Yeah,
the truth.
I mean, he's freaking built.
Come
like,
on, man.
what the
Dean
hell?
Kane.
Get out of here.
Lois and Clark.
They didn't
Hey, I
even,
watched that
they didn't
show,
even
man.
give him first name billing in that show. Like,
I know.
honestly, Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's get back on track and talk about Jessica Jones some more. Because I know a lot of people I've heard everything from it being like the second coming to like some people are just kind of like, yeah, some people are like it's the best Marvel anything.
Are you serious?
I've heard that
Yeah,
on
there was
a
a
couple
lot
places.
part
More than a couple
of the problem
places.
was like a lot of the blog sites are really dick riding that show hard, and then that in turn, like they're trying to feed off of all the other people that are
The
dick
hype,
riding the show, in order to get page views. And
I read-
it's just kind of
I read like a Variety article on the show, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is so good! It's like empowerment of females and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, we all get that. It's an empowerment of females, but the show isn't like that good."
Yeah.
And now the problem is that once everybody picks on the bandwagon, and they all start talking about how great that show is, nobody wants to like shit all over it.
I don't care. I tell the truth. I'm just going to tell the truth. We watch a lot of movies, and I wouldn't even put that series up there with the best shit that I've watched.
That's
Plain
true.
and simple.
That's true.
It's a good
I
series.
haven't even finished it.
It's a good series, but it's like the things like, okay, fine, let's go down the list. What were the things that you liked? we'll go through it like that. So this way, everyone can hear that we're not just doing it to be counter to everybody else. We're just straight up telling you based on what we know.
I like
how we
Luke
feel.
Cage.
Luke Cage was awesome. I was glad they.
The guy who was cast as Luke Cage was
Mike
good.
Coulter.
Yeah.
They did he was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Kilgrave was awesome.
Yeah, he was perfect.
I actually liked some of the side characters, like the characters that were in her apartment building.
You know that Eka Darville was the Red Ranger.
Yeah.
On Power Rangers RPM.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit! And he's like that much of a good actor that he shouldn't have been there. But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I'm happy.
He
I'm
started
happy
on that
for him
show.
because that's a come up being on
I
that.
didn't even know that until I was like at a friend's place and
Yeah.
his kid was watching Nickelodeon. I was like, what the hell is Eka Darville doing on fucking Power Rangers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had looked it up on IMDb because I was like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
I never watched that Power Rangers. So.
Me
I
neither.
think like
I
he
didn't like
was
that
in
series.
Empire as well, right?
Probably.
Yeah, he was in Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. The people, the supporting cast, with the exception of the brother and sister,
man, the brother and sister
No,
was
I even-
super
I
weird.
they
even
made
liked
me
them.
angry. She redeemed herself later in the story,
Yeah.
but like they as a pair were fucking annoying. I was like, please, and then I kind of felt bad.
But that was
when,
it was supposed to be. It worked.
yeah.
Why-
But
why
then when they got killed.
Oh my god, spoiler alert.
What? Shut up. People know if you're listening to this, you already know this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna spoil some shit. But yeah, the brother, man, I was like, at first I'm like, get this motherfucker out of here. He's so annoying. And then they killed him and I felt bad because I was like, shit, I actually wanted him to die. Like, and then they killed him off, and I'm like, damn, I feel like a bad person because I wanted him to die. Like, literally, I was like, get rid of this dude, you know? But yeah, I liked the supporting cast. They were really good. They helped make everything else more believable.
Yeah.
And,
Plus, you see, like we're so used to seeing everything going on, like with the actual superheroes of the show, but then it's kind of nice to see the fallout and how the regular people have to deal with all that shit.
well, one of my favorite comics or runs in comics was Garth Ennis's run on Punisher, which is what the game and some of the movie was based on.
Yeah.
And a lot of that had these same kind of dynamics where it was all these people around him that helped him figure out some of the aspects of his issues. You know what I'm saying? And like him showing humanity. Yeah, Jane and freaking what's the dude's name?
Spacker Dave.
Spacker. God, those names. Yeah, but yeah, I liked, like you said, the supporting cast was awesome. I liked the fact that she was imperfect. I mean, she's hot, but she was like super imperfect. It's like for all the pretty points that she had, because she's kind of awkward looking too.
Yeah.
But like she's still on the cute side, in my opinion. And I like brunettes way over blondes any day. So, you know, if she walked up to you and said, dude, I will freaking do whatever you want right now, you would not be like, ew, get away from me. You'd be like,
I'd be already naked.
You'd be
in
like,
the bed, like, come on.
you'd be like, all aboard.
Shall we dance?
She's okay.
But what I'm saying is, if a girl like that came up to you outside as you're, you know, doing your stuff, you're getting into your car and you lock eyes with some chick getting in her car, and she looked like that, you wouldn't be like, ew. Yeah, be honest.
Like, ew, but
you wouldn't be like, wow, this is me scraping the bottom of the barrel. No, she's not bottom of the barrel. She's not the typical Hollywood cute chick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she's more on the, like, you can see a chick like that on the street. I can see that. I mean, not with as much makeup, but and maybe with as much makeup. Actually, around CCAD, we'd see shit like that all the time.
Oh, I should probably come to CCAD.
And campus, around campus, you definitely see a chick looking like that. So, like I said, she's still on the cute side. But she was just such a grimy human being. It was just like, wow, really? That's why when people start talking this female empowerment bullshit, I'm like,
I
really?
don't know.
Like, why is that always
I don't
coming
know
up?
what exactly.
What was empowering?
She wasn't in control most of the time.
Well, she was in more control of herself and her situation.
Well, yeah. But I'm talking about the situation like between her and Kilgrave. Like, she wasn't really in control of that. Not until like the end.
Anyway, but we're talking about what we like. We're talking about what we like first. So we liked the supporting cast. We liked, you know,
some of the cinematography in there was pretty cool. Like,
yeah,
like I was surprised at some of the shots that they had in there. that was in like I mean, because technically this was supposed to be a TV show, but like they
It
had
felt like
stuff
a
that you
movie
see
every
in the movie.
episode. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Luke Cage was perfect. What I dug to, and other people pointed this out, is Luke Cage looked bored as fuck when he was fighting regular people. Like was that one scene when they were fighting in the lab? Remember in the meth lab or the weed lab, and he like threw this dude. He just threw him, and he had like this like kind of twisted face expression, like just get off of me, man. Like the dude grabbed him, he just grabbed his hand and just tossed the dude with no effort. I like that. I mean, but wait, I'm gonna save what I don't like.
Yeah, I know, because I have a problem with that.
I have a problem with some stuff that no, it's not with that scene, but it's something else. Anyway, I liked Kilgrave a lot. I like the fact that they made you feel both sides.
Yeah,
he's a grimy ass human being, but he probably could have gone the other way if some things didn't happen the way they did.
Yeah,
like his parents were straight up, you know, yeah, they're trying to save his life, but they were kind of not being good parents.
Harsh.
Yeah, in the process. Because you really did feel sorry for him even after he's done all the jacked up stuff he was doing.
Yeah. And, I mean, and Jessica even made the point of, like, saying how... Because, like, you don't... Like, I didn't think about it until she said it, but, like, some of the way he behaves is kind of like a
kid.
Like a
spoiled-ass kid.
And you see that when... You know, he's just
Jessica!
Jessica!
Yeah, that, and you know, there's things about the story. There's so many things about the story that I will say, even though they're pluses, they got old because of how often they use those things. You know, but we're still on the goods. Is there any more goods?
Anything else?
I don't know. I've only watched like 6 episodes, so I don't know if there's more.
So you have about what?
Like 7
more?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
I mean, there's more. I have to go back and watch it to like pick out because there was things I was thinking about as I was watching it. I was like, man, I really like how they pulled this off. But
what about Nuke?
It was all character development. No, well, that goes into the things we don't like.
Okay. Wait. What about her friend Patsy Hellcat?
I thought the person who played it was cool.
She's a good actress, but did that feel like? From what I know, Hellcat's Hispanic. I remember her being Hispanic in the comics. I remember her also, wasn't she a redhead and not a blonde? And
I've seen her with 2 different color hairstyles in the comics.
Maybe the
when
red
it comes to her hair, I'm not like really.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because a woman can dye her hair.
But what I'm saying is, if she's Hispanic, there's some certain things that there's traits they always do visually, so you know.
Yeah. And
they completely threw that out the window. They completely threw her ethnicity out the window. So. You have, God, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, the Hellcat. Like, I don't know. So we've got Jessica. We've got, what's his name, Daredevil, and then we will have Luke Cage, but then they're also gonna give us Iron Fist. Like I was almost mad, and this is a side note. I remember when I was watching or listening. I'm sorry to Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man on Batman, and usually. They go into all kinds of geek culture type stuff. And they were talking about Jessica Jones and whatnot. And then they were like, why did they choose to go with Iron Fist? Even though he's cool, he's always been a supporting character until recently when they gave him his own kind of book. I don't even think the book really did anything for the character. Why not have him and Shang-Chi as like the two, like put them in the same story? Shang-Chi is like 1,000% more interesting than fucking.
I was saying that back when they first started talking about Daredevil.
And they brought up.
Should show up in the show. Shang-Chi should show up in the show.
And they brought up.
Not be equal to Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Not be a supporting character.
Exactly. And they brought up the whole appropriation thing. They were like, the reason why they're having so many problems with making this show, Iron Fist, because they said they're not doing it. Then Jeff Loeb, they keep swinging back and forth. Jeff Loeb's like, yeah, we're going to definitely do it. But then other people are like, how are we going to do it? They've told sources at different places, like you always get shit from Latino Review, and they always say, our source says the shit's not happening. They've taken it off the schedule, and it keeps going back and forth. But then you think about it. Why are they having problems? Because Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Punisher, Elektra's the first minority in this group that is going to be like, top billing. Now you have Luke Cage, who will be the second, and then you're going to go with freaking, what's his name again? Power Man. He's from the Heroes for Hire. But like, how are you gonna I don't know, just in this day and age, that just seems really lame.
Well, I mean, Iron Fist excuse me, I'm hiccuping now. Iron Fist comes from that period,
The black exploitation period, or the
yeah,
kung fu,
the kung
black
fu,
exploitation
and
craze.
you have a bunch of white guys who are writing comics who are like, yeah, I want a kung fu fighting white guy in a because I like those movies, so I'm gonna make that character, and he's gonna be a blonde haired dude, and that's where Iron Fist came from. So
we know that's where it came from. It's just like in this day and age, they need to make some changes, or they need to make someone else. Freaking, they're talking about Moon Knight's gonna get a show. Ghost Rider's possibly gonna get a show. So look at all these white guys, and then you got Luke Cage, and Elektra's not gonna have her own show. You got Luke Cage. That's it, as far as minorities go. And we're talking about street level in New York, in New fucking York, where white folks are definitely the minority. You know what I'm saying? It's New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, guys. I understand it's comics and shit, but like to me, it's kind of getting stale if you're gonna go back in that direction. You look at DC actually taking the time to make the Justice League actually reflect the cultures that the characters were supposed to reflect. Somehow, amidst all the comic book genius, people forgot Wonder Woman's supposed to be Greek. You know what I mean? Or like amidst all the comic book genius, Aquaman couldn't just be a American white guy if he's king of the freaking the seven seas. He couldn't be from here. He's got to be from some one of those other nations
where people have islands.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Where there's islands and shit, which makes sense. Which is why I'm surprised. Like no one ever thought about that angle in Aquaman. You know what I mean? So now seeing Jason Momoa, it's like, wow, shit finally came together to make something make sense with that character. Now you have all these characters in New York. You didn't even use Misty Knight.
Oh, she's in Cage. She's
going to be in Luke Cage? Cool.
And this is something that I feel like I usually have a problem with, and I was asking a friend, like veering completely off topic. Like when it comes to like The Walking Dead, have you noticed how there are no people of a different ethnic background?
Well, you have
like
Glenn.
Not Glenn. Glenn is American. I mean, like people who come from other places in America, because there are people from Africa, people who are actually Chinese.
Ask the zombies where they come from.
Were they all eaten by zombies? Like honestly,
they all were eaten by zombies.
What?
You see, they can't keep a black guy on the show.
Then how come there are no like Chinese zombies? Like, oh, I'm gonna eat your brain.
Oh, don't do that! Don't do that!
But serious, I just feel like it's really weird because considering like a very big percentage of Americans are actually people who are never born here.
Yeah, I know. But try telling that to fans of anything.
Yeah,
the fans of anything, they think everybody is American, everybody is non-black, non-Asian, non-Hispanic, and it's like we're only a couple generations away from a different, minorities being the majority.
Yeah.
And,
oh, we're already there.
We're there. It's just a lot of them are not documented, and a lot of them are, they don't care about all that.
So
shit.
if they get eaten, we don't care. Okay, cool.
No. But you jump to freaking Walking Dead. We're talking about even in New York. This is New York. You know what I'm saying? If anyone's ever been to New York, and I know I've got listeners that are in New York right now, all over New York, the tri-state area, it's not like it's, 80-20 people of color. You know what I'm saying? It's like 80-20 white folks.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And that's just New York. And I'm talking I mean like non-straight up, I should say 80-20 non-American. Straight up, like, you have heritage from elsewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because everyone I knew where I went to school, there were like 3 white kids in my school. 3 white kids. Everybody else was either you were like from Russia, like still got your accent, and you just came up here, from Poland or something, you just had your accent. We had a couple of those, but we had mostly Hispanic, Haitian, and like when I say Hispanic, I'm talking about Dominican, Puerto Rican, fucking. We even had people from Portugal and shit. So we had all kinds of minorities from other places. You know what I mean? And there were like 3 kids born and raised, whole family from America, like straight up. You know what I'm saying? In where I used to live with my grandmother in Brooklyn, it was like what do you call it? Like the Bedford area, Bedford-Stuyvesant area.
Bed-Stuy till I die.
It was like the old white folks that came. They were immigrants also, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
From
Irish.
all Irish people, Russian people, whatever. But like hardly any like straight up American. Your whole family, everybody. You know, with the exception of maybe your great that first came over whenever. You know what I'm saying? Like hardly any of that. I'm talking like everything was like, you know, generation after generation after generation, and they keep bringing more over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was all people with their background was elsewhere, and this is what makes up. I mean, this is shit that makes New York dope. Is like there's so much of everything, but then when you watch these shows, it's like not really that much.
It's Friends.
Everything. Yeah, and I'm like, that's another thing. I hope that they don't run into that. Yeah, Friends was annoying.
Yeah.
It's like all the friends were white. All the friends were, you know, living in the same area. All the people surrounding them were all white, except for maybe one or two cameos by black comedians.
Aisha Tyler.
Yeah, I'm like, really?
Let's date a black girl.
So, you know, and I hate to make it into a race thing, but you know, I've lived in New York. I'm talking about from when I was little. So it's burned into my memory that I didn't see a whole bunch of white folks running around and like two black people. When I went to school here, I was one of a few black people with a bunch of white folks. You know what I mean? Like American-born white folks. So yes, in the Midwest, 1000% that's on point. East and West Coast, not even close. Not even close. I don't care what Jersey Shore shows you, because those motherfuckers weren't from the Jersey Shore. And they most of the time the episodes didn't even take place there. I don't care what you know, some of, you know, your other TV shows show you. That's all orchestrated. That's not how it is. So I would like for their depiction of New York to be a little bit more, you know, what it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like what it should really
with the
be.
Heroes, it needs to
With
be.
the heroes too. Yeah. So back to Jessica Jones. So we talked about all the bad.
Well, we started.
We talked about all the good. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
we didn't really get to the bad. So, and this is, I remember I started over from further back. So the stuff we started talking about before we got interrupted, like, yeah.
I don't even remember what we were talking about before the
So
interruption.
we were starting to talk about. I said I don't like her how they did the inconsistency with her powers. So like you'd see a scene where she'd fight like someone, you know, some regular person, and she'd just throw them like it was nothing, or she'd punch somebody, or she'd like rip a door open or some shit. But then a regular
she was
person
ripping locks, ripping iron bars.
she freaking
all
held
that
a car
shit.
in place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But then like there'd be scenes where regular people would tackle her and she'd go down. Like the scene when they got
Kilgrave.
They had Kilgrave in the van, and then those guys stopped the van and then tased her, and then like three of them were holding her down. And I'm like, but in the bar fight, you were throwing guys off you like nothing, and they were big just like these guys. What the hell? Like you have super strength, which means no regular people are gonna be able to hold you for the convenience of the plot. But too often,
and with super strength always comes some level of durability.
Yeah.
So those cattle prods shouldn't have really been.
yeah, it should have taken like
they did.
all the cattle prods in the scene to get her to fall down and be like, holy shit, this hurts. You know what I'm saying? But for the convenience of the plot, and I know other people won't say anything. They'll be like, whatever, you're nitpicking. No, I'm not. Fucking Luke Cage. Luke Cage gets shotgunned in the face and gets knocked out for the rest of the series. Or, you know, the episode.
Pretty much.
I think the last like 3 or 4 episodes.
Well, like I think he's awake by
the end
the
of
second to last episode, and then he takes off.
Yeah. So he's out of
Jail?
commission.
No, he's
that already happened.
Just like a black man.
That already happened, the jail part. But still, like, how do you take out Luke Cage? And don't give me the bullshit about, this is before any of the superheroics. It doesn't matter. He's got super strength, and he's got invulnerability. And you shot him in the chin with a shotgun. He could be out for a few seconds. He could be on the ground for a few seconds. Or the fact that Jessica beat his ass in the fight. What training did she have that would allow her to beat a big black man?
No, she was running.
But she knocked him out. She knocked him out at one point. Or knocked him down, I'm sorry. She punched him through a wall.
Yeah,
then he laid on the ground. He was laying there for a little bit. And then he finally got back up.
She punched him into those speakers. The speakers fell on top of him.
That was one part. I'm talking about when she was in the room. She was hiding in the room, and then he just reached through the wall and pulled her out there. And then she did some kind of twist to get out of his grasp.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right.
she hit him, and he went through the wall, and he was down for a couple minutes. And I'm like, there is no world where Jessica Jones is on the same level as Luke fucking Cage.
Well, there was even that part in the weed factory scene where some dude jumped on Cage and was like lightweight choking him and holding him. I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
you watched him flip that entire table over with like his fingers.
Yeah.
And how's that dude giving him a problem? Like, I don't like. Maybe they should have explained like maybe they're acting that way so that people don't know they have powers, but
yeah. At this
they
point,
don't tell you, and
sense.
and when you're watching it, I'm expecting them to just literally just one punch and everybody's down.
Yeah.
Like they should just one shot everyone because those guys were like getting up, they were like exchanging punches, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like all those people should have been knocked out. Fight should have been over. Bam.
Should have been
because that's what happened in the bar scene.
Yeah.
Dude would come in, throw a few blows, not really connect. They'd hit him and they were done. Dude stabbed Cage in the neck with a broken bottle. He just looked at dude, smacked him, and he was done.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just weird that
I agree. They were real inconsistent with their powers. I mean, like, even this was even like a gripe I had with Daredevil, and because so many of the fans of the shows are not like the kind of fans that pay attention to these kind of details. When you watch Daredevil fight in a comic, literally most artists, especially like Mark Bagley, Jim Lee, fucking what's the other dude, McNiven, freaking Oliver Copewell, all those guys, Ron Lim, all the old guys from back in the day, even fucking we were just talking about him earlier, the Batman, Frank Miller. They would draw like 50 billion after images of shit that Daredevil would do. Like he'd flip into a room, land here. A guy tries to swing at him here. He'd jump off of the dude, throw his baton, it would bounce off of some shit and ricochet all over the room and knock out like 50 different guys. You know what I mean? You'd see all that, yet Daredevil never did that kind of stuff. Instead, he spent most of the episodes getting mopped by regular guys. And then because he was getting hit, people are like, dude, it's so realistic. Actually, he was making his sensei look like a fool. Because if your sensei trained you properly, you don't sit there and take blows from people. You know which hits.
Yeah, he should have been getting beat up by stick, which he did.
By stick, by the hand ninja. Okay, fine, I give him that. But like the average guys, he should have been hitting them in the throat, under their arms, you know what I mean? In all the vulnerable spots that like most people would never think of because you're not trained, and it would have been done. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, they're brawling.
Yeah.
So they should have just been one-shotting folks, like you said, and it would be done. I mean, I've seen people do that shit in the club that don't have superpowers. You know what I mean? So, like, imagine if you have superpowers, that's how it should have been. It was just too, like, inconsistent with that. Like, even during the sex scene, he was holding her, and she pulled his hand away, and he was actually, like, kind of fighting it, and you're like, he's struggling with her power level? Like, I don't care. His power level's higher than hers.
I did laugh, though, when she was scratching his back, but like nothing was
happening. Yeah, all the sex in the movie in the episode was or in the show was laughable. I thought it was funny in the beginning how like everybody was just getting down. Like in the beginning, it was just like straight up, just like Sex City. Everybody's fucking humping, everybody's grabbing genitalia, everybody's doing something. It just came out. I know, right? Just show me your genitals. Your genitals. What? Yeah, it was weird, man. I was like, wow, they're really like, they said, yeah, we can do as much sex as we want. I was like, wow, okay. It was funny. I have to throw this in for the butt stuff. They actually changed in the comic.
Yeah.
She was like so depressed and so, I don't feel anything. Nothing moves me. I want to feel again. So you can do whatever you want to do to me. That's what she told Luke, and Luke wanted to do butt stuff to her.
What the?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
This was in the comic.
It was like the way it was written and
that was the exact line.
Yeah.
She said, you can do whatever you want to me.
Because she talks about how
after
Luke Cage, like after they get done with it, you know, Luke Cage might look back at this one time, you know, later on, sometime down the road. So he'll look back at it and smile, maybe feel a little bad because, you know, he shouldn't have put her through that. But, you know, she was okay with it. You know, it was the one time she let him do whatever he wanted with her, and it was the whole thing was implying that they had anal sex.
Yeah, I was like, wow,
how very progressive.
But like the way they did it in this show, you don't actually like that wasn't even a plot point. They didn't go that far and that depressed.
Yeah,
I mean, it looked like it probably happened.
She was just down with it.
Yeah, it looked like
she turns over and is like, "Here, let me help you get easier access."
Yeah, she just turned around. So it was kind of funny that they snuck it in there without actually bringing any extra attention to it. So, props to them for that. But yeah, they were inconsistent as fuck with her powers. And it got really old hearing Jessica's the only one that could do it. Jessica, it's got to be Jessica. Jessica, come back here, Jessica. Like every second, Jessica, it's only Jessica that could do it. Why is it that when she did something she didn't want to do, she was able to break his Kilgrave's control? But then and they explain too that it lasts only so much time, and then the further away you get from Kilgrave, the weaker it is.
And you're always fighting it in your head. You just can't.
So
and it wasn't until he forced her to kill was when she finally broke free.
And then the way he tells the story, he says she chose because all he said was take care of her. So okay, fine, whatever. Then Luke Cage gets the same kind of situation, except his goal or he was programmed to do bad shit to Jessica, right? Then they start fighting, and he never at one point in this, I don't really want to kill this chick. So, I mean, like, what happened? Why didn't he break the control? You know what I'm saying? Like, while I'm watching it, I'm expecting, this is Luke Cage. He's supposed to be pretty powerful. He's supposed to be pretty, even though he doesn't want to be a hero, that's what he was built for. You know what I'm saying? And, like, you'd think he would have the mental fortitude to be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to fight this chick. You know what I mean? Like, I actually am in love with this chick. I'm not going to, even though I hate her for this thing that Kilgrave made her do, because she's involved, I still feel these feelings for her, and I'm not going to kill her. I don't feel any animosity enough to kill her. Somehow he wasn't able to break that, and I'm like, wow, I thought he was a superhero. Like, what the hell? Like, had it been Daredevil, he probably would have broke the control. You know what I mean? But I don't know. That part didn't work for me. I was just like, while I'm watching it, I'm just like, wow, that just seems too convenient. You know what I mean? That Kilgrave was able to program him to the point where it was like a sleeper kind of control.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe
she just didn't ask the right questions because he was thorough in how he didn't want Jessica to know that he was under the influence, under his influence.
No. Well, remember he programmed him with the line how he apologized, he forgives her, and he said he'll tell her every day for the rest of his life if he has to. I was like, that's kind of like, you really programmed that motherfucker. Like, you really took over his brain and then turned around and was like, yeah, that was me. I made him do this. It was me. I programmed him to say all of it. Like, I did. Like, he really controlled probably the most powerful guy in the story. Like, and that to me seems really weird that the person with the next, she's lower than him, as far as powers go and stuff like that, was able to break what he couldn't break. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the explanation was kind of weak. Like, oh yeah, you were fighting the whole time, and because he really pushed you to do something you didn't want to do, you were able to break away from his control. It's like, so then what about all the other people who? I mean, you had the one junkie who actually quit right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he quit looking at the fucking syringe. So doesn't he have pretty powerful mental fortitude? I mean, he would have to do that shit. But Kilgrave was controlling him all that time. I mean, even with the drugs and the money to get drugs and blah blah blah. So it just was like, it's good TV, but when you actually think about it, it's really not that good TV. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not that good writing when you think about it. Like, if you actually sit there and think about it, which I don't think anybody thinks about all this shit. Even the shows that I've watched on YouTube where people are analyzing the fuck out of every little thing. He wore a yellow shirt, just like the yellow shirt he wears in Heroes for Hire and when he was in the New Avengers and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, God, you guys are too much. But, like, the shit that's deep, well, nobody was looking at it. I don't know. I didn't like that. I don't know. I'll let you guys go because I'm talking too much. Sorry.
It's not that I didn't like Carrie-Anne Moss's character as Hogarth. I just felt like if you cut all that shit out with her drama with her ex-wife,
it didn't help at all.
It didn't add anything to the story overall.
God, that shit was too much.
I mean, it was fucked up what happened.
Yeah, it was too
the conclusion
much
of that, but it doesn't really. The only thing it adds is,
it shows you another level of Kilgrave's. The way Kilgrave just enters your life and fucks it all.
Yeah, that and how we would all be tempted to do, like, everybody would be tempted to do wrong if they had that kind of power. Because, he dangled the carrot and she snatched that shit up because she knew she could get what she wanted by just.
But did she actually? She didn't really.
She never got a chance to utilize Kilgrave.
No, it was she she wanted to, and then
he backstabbed her and said, "Kill her with 1,000 cuts or whatever."
Yeah.
After the whole thing went to shit because Jessica was on her way over there because she realized that they were all there.
And here's the big one: how many times did they catch Kilgrave and let him go?
Yeah, I mean it was twice.
God.
The second time made sense in how he got away. The first time. They shouldn't. I don't think they should have. He should have been caught the first time.
Well, I'll put it like this: instead of just caught, how many times did they have the upper hand and they just let Kilgrave slip through their fingers? There were so many times where they could have just killed him right there on the spot because he wasn't close enough to tell anybody anything.
Yeah,
there were so many times where, like, Jessica herself, with her strength, was in a position just like she was at the end of the series, where she could have just snapped his neck and she didn't. There were so many times where people sat there and listened to him talk before he controlled them, when they could have just taken him out. And I get it. It would have been a shorter show, but that's another problem I have with it. It was too fucking long. And when I got to, like, episode 9 or 10, I was kind of like, this isn't done yet? It felt like all the rest of the episodes after that were just filler, and it was just like, wow, you really built up to nothing. Because it was like, everyone says it sags in the middle. I think the whole second half of the series, leading to the end, was just like, It was real strong in the beginning. It gets to its peak somewhere in the middle. And then it just was downhill from there because it was just like, what the fuck? It's all rehashed, the same shit that happened previously in different ways until you get to this. I don't know.
I thought it picked up for me a bit more when they actually had him in the chamber and, they introduced they track down the parents and they bring them in and then all that shit transpires. Like the time flew for me at that point.
Yeah.
Also, well, I'll wait till because I got another.
We're still talking about bad stuff. Go ahead.
The Black Detective. He was exactly Ben Urich.
Yeah.
2 weeks from retirement, and I was like, please don't kill him.
Why did they?
When he said that, and then they did it. Like his whole shtick was exactly Ben Urich. Yeah. I was like, why did you guys?
I don't believe you, but I believe you. But I'm about to retire, so just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben Urich from Daredevil.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it made sense in Daredevil. It didn't make sense in Jessica Jones.
He got killed for no reason.
He got killed for no reason. Like there was no
he got
reason
He got killed twice. Like he got shot in the head, and then dude burned his fucking corpse. Like he got killed like a Steven Seagal villain. Like that shit was unnecessary.
Yeah, man. And they never solved his murder.
Yeah,
like they solved what's her face. They get her out of jail, the girl.
Yeah,
and then she kills herself. And
Hope.
Yeah, she killed herself. But then like they talk about, oh yeah. Body just showed up in the morgue, is burnt to beyond recognition. That was it. Yeah. Camera cuts, and then you never hear about him again. And I was like, wow, that's fucked up. Like, Jessica Jones didn't even try to... I mean, granted, she can't because it's Homeboy, and he's probably going to be in the next season or whatever.
And that brings us to Nuke.
Yeah.
Nuke, I was cool with some of Nuke's involvement, but what started getting annoying is when he got involved with, what's her name? And then they kind of like, they had episodes where they were like really focusing on him. Yeah. And I'm like, he's not one of the main characters. Why are we focusing on this guy?
Because he's a bootleg Captain America.
But still, like, he wasn't even like heroic. You know what I mean? Like, he kept showing up and they kept focusing, and I'm like, he's not. No. And then like, okay, he's Nuke.
Big Lots Captain America.
I was hoping that they would actually paint his face. Because, I mean, come on. If you're not going to put him in, like, in the comics, he doesn't even wear a costume. He just wears military gear. Yeah. So it was like, okay, put him in the gear and have him paint the flag on his face. Yeah. Please paint the flag on his face.
I think he's going to go completely crazy at some point, and then you'll see
in the next one, yeah.
I thought his descent into that was really, really fast.
Yeah. His whole arc was like super fucking fast.
Like he started taking them drugs and was like, "I'm hooked." He was just popping the pills.
Right? Once you pop, you can't stop. Yeah, man. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I
You
haven't
get
watched
to
the
that
show.
Man,
I
you
should
should have
actually
watched the
finish
whole
it.
thing.
Yeah,
man.
finish it, and
That's
then
the
see
only
what
reason
talking
I'm not
about.
contributing. I know everybody's missing my voice. I'm still here.
But yeah, there were a lot of like it's a lot of little things that I think that the various geek communities are just ignoring because here we got another comic book show on Netflix that doesn't really pull many punches because the show was gory as fuck, especially towards the end. It was like holy shit, dude was like chopped the arms off his dad and then he was stuffing them down the
trash
trash
disposal.
disposal. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, really? Or like all the times like people are stabbing themselves and like I don't know, it's just weird. It was like they just didn't care about
It was
people.
visceral.
Yeah, I know, right? When he had what was the kid's name? What was the brother's name?
I forgot.
He had him slit his own throat, and it was
Yeah.
like he used did he use like a butter knife or something? So it was like
It was
real
whatever the
sloppy.
knife was that he had
Used for the bread. Yeah, it was a butter knife, and it was like all. It was just like, wow, you guys really like didn't give a fuck, and it's cool because I mean that's how the Marvel Knights books were. They're really grimy like that. So I like that. I like the feel. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it was entertaining to watch, but I refuse to give it this like shining review like it was perfect and like nothing was wrong and it was the best thing we've ever seen on. No, get the fuck out of here. That shit, no. It's just like Age of Ultron. Before Age of Ultron came out, people were like completely just sucking the hell out of Age of Ultron's dick. Just like,
I wasn't. I love George Whedon, but
yeah, it was too
I wasn't
much.
expecting that movie to be that great.
Well, it was the whole over involvement of what the studio wants. They wanted too many things, and the movie turned into like a preview of all this stuff that's gonna happen, and not enough of the agency that's necessary to make what was happening important. Like Ultron turned into another throwaway Marvel villain. You want to drop a plan? You want to drop?
Who he felt like? He felt like the guy on Thor: Dark World. The guy who the elf?
Loki?
No, the elf guy.
Malekith.
Oh.
He's just there to serve a purpose, so
Yeah,
the Avengers can assemble and then they'll trash him and then move on. James Spader put in a really good performance voice.
He always does.
Voicing Ultron, but Ultron felt super weak as a character. Man. Compared to the comics.
Oh yeah.
Like man, it was such.
They tried too hard to make him human. I mean, we said this when we did a podcast review about Age of Ultron, where a whole bunch of us were together just going in on it, and it was like, while we enjoyed seeing the team together again, and the action was really cool, the villain did not warrant, the situation didn't warrant all the Avengers. You could have had like fucking Black Widow and Hawkeye take him down. You know what I mean? And I think if it was the two of them, then the movie would have been more interesting because they don't have all the powers in the world, and they would actually have to do something like real crazy to figure out how to stop them. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, if the way the story went down, you had characters that could have killed Ultron by themselves. Shit, Vision did kill Ultron by himself.
Vision was
perfect.
Was the saving grace of that movie.
No, Cap was the saving grace of that movie for me. Cap was perfect.
Vision showed up a little too late to be the saving grace of the film.
Cap was the saving grace. Cap was perfect. Cap never veered from the focus, which was saving people and taking down Ultron. Everybody else had other shit going on. Thor was leaving. He left the movie to go deal with shit that's going to happen in his own movie. Literally left the fucking movie. I was like, wow. And I like Thor. Don't get me wrong. Thor's my favorite Avenger, and then comes Cap. But the way that they treated him in the film, it was like, just so that he wouldn't be the ace in the hole, because he's the most powerful guy on the team, and now you got Vision, which I'm like, how the fuck does that go down? Like, you got those two, and they're struggling to beat robots? Like, that doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's not bloodthirsty, like, Agent Smith Ultron that we were used to back in the day.
Yeah.
Who's like, mankind is cancers. I'm going to clean this whole shit out. I'm going to cut all the cancer out. All you motherfuckers got to go. That's Ultron that we've been reading for however many years you've been reading comics, you know? Not Ultron who's quippy like evil Tony Stark. That's lame.
Tony Stark.
I mean, that's what he was.
Yeah,
I mean, even with the dad, making the jokes about dad and son and dad and blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Where did that even come from? The whole imprint of Tony Stark's personality on Ultron. Like, you trying to tell me the program that him and what's his name were working on was another him? Like, that was just, I don't know, that was lame to me. But yeah. I don't know how we even got on to Age of Ultron, but yeah, it I don't know. Yeah, Jessica Jones. I think I just I was saying that people were quick to back the movie before it even came out, and then when it came out, it was kind of like, it wasn't as amazing and epic as people were making it out to be.
Well,
Yeah, there was a point.
They hyped themselves up for that shit,
and they're doing it again. Like with Captain America films, we've seen that yes, Cap has the best films, flat out, flat the fuck out. I don't care if people don't really like First Avenger, whatever. That was an introduction.
That movie
it's
was
not
awesome.
going to be. I thought it was great. Yeah, I had no problem.
The Howling Commando.
Yeah, it was like if you're a Marvel fan and you were reading comics for a while, and you don't even have to be a fan. If you're a comic fan that's been reading comics for a while, yeah, he's always great. Yeah. Always.
Except when he was Megatron, but
yeah,
that's a whole other
shit.
reason.
But it was to a point where you didn't even realize it was him. They were like, don't do your Agent Smith voice too much. Don't do V. We want you to do something in the middle. It was like, ugh.
He was fantastic.
But he was awesome in First Avenger. Like, even if you don't like the First Avenger, you still got to admit that progressively, like by the time now that we're at 3, he's fucking. The movies are the best.
The movies have gotten better with each single movie.
Yeah.
And
more
I feel
so
like
than anybody
Civil
else.
War will be like the precipice.
Yeah, it's gonna be the best.
It will be like the best.
Yeah.
And that's very weird because it usually happens in reverse order.
Yeah.
Well, the first movie is the best.
And then it gets progressively worse.
It gets progressively worse in terms of Avengers, but. Oh my god! Like this whole Thanos thing, like it's like when you meet a girl and she keeps teasing you that she's gonna give it up. And then when she finally gives it up,
she doesn't know what she's doing.
And you're like, she doesn't even know what she's doing. Like, is that it? It was like 3 months of this shit. I had to take you to countless dates and all this stuff, and it's not even that great. So that's what I feel like that's probably going to be the problem with Thanos. They've been building him too much, and
for too long.
It's not gonna be that great.
Unless they go all out by the time they do this Infinity War shit.
Yeah.
Like, if they go all out, and I'm talking like fucking, balls to the wall, like crazy powers, and they're in space, and there's aliens, and there's all that crazy shit, like, in the comics, but, like, with a tighter focus. Because the problem with comics is they're made to sell more comics, so that shit always is over bloated and just goes on too long because they're trying to, soak up or pull out as much money out of your pockets as they can, so that they drag the story out so long, and you're just like, I remember trying to buy all the issues for fucking Infinity Gauntlet and shit, and I couldn't do it when I was a kid. I had to wait till I was an adult, and I found alternative means to do it. I got Infinity War, I got Infinity Gauntlet, I got Infinity Quest, I got Operation Galactic Storm, Operation Galactic Shield. I know the whole shit. And it wasn't that good. I would have been really mad as a child if I did somehow convince my mom to give me enough money to consistently keep up with every single book. Because it was like there was a point where every single book Marvel was doing with the main 616 heroes was somehow involved in the Infinity War, because they all had doppelgangers. So it was in Wolverine books, Moon Knight even, fucking Punisher, everybody, Hercules, Spider-Man, the rest of the X-Men, also Wonder Man, the Fantastic Four. That's 8 books right there, and there were way more. I mean, other books that weren't even popular, somehow they were involved. So it was weird, man. It was really weird. So if they somehow managed to, like, hit that scale but keep the focus, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what Thanos is doing to Earth, which I don't even remember where that doppelganger shit even came in. It's been so long, man.
Like, when you said the doppelganger thing, I thought you were talking about like Skrulls or stuff.
Like what?
Skrulls, yeah, like, because they had that whole thing where they're trying to take over the world.
The secret invasion.
Yeah, like...
No, they had this where I think, God, I can't remember how it went. I need to go back and look at it. But, like, there was some point in this, in the whole Infinity Gauntlet story, or maybe it was Infinity War, where that was like one of the prongs of the attack, was to have, they had doppelgangers of all the heroes, and when they would beat their heroes, their hands would turn into like tentacles, and they would like absorb the hero. So like they would straight up just, and you would always see it from the perspective of the hero, and the tentacles would just cover the screen, and then it would turn black. And I remember because the 2 books I was reading, well, 3 books. I read Spider-Man, Wonder Man, and Moon Knight really hardcore for a little bit. Spider-Man and Wonder Man I read for a long time, but Moon Knight, it was a little bit in there. And I remember in Wonder Man, he was having these issues where his book was actually really good. He had moved to Hollywood to become like a stuntman because he was like, I'm not really that great of an Avenger. So he was like, I could use my powers a different way. He moves to California, and there were a bunch of really cool plots where like, you know, he's on the set of, he was a stuntman in one of the Batman movies, or the movie he was auditioning for was on the same set as what's his name, Tim Burton's Batman. So the Batmobile's in the background, and like it was weird because it's a Marvel book, and I'm looking at Batman shit in the background, and he's fighting this assassin that was sent to kill him named Splice, and Splice had these gauntlets with these crazy crystal swords or something in them, and Splice was like he all full of himself and shit, and he was like he figured out that one way he could knock out Wonder Man, you obviously can't punch him and knock him out, so you had to, you know, have him ingest some kind of explosive. So he kicked him in the stomach, and when he opened his mouth, he threw a pellet into his mouth, and then it exploded, and he was like, ugh! You see like all the fire and smoke coming out of his mouth, like, ah! It was fucking awesome, man, because the fight scenes made sense. But the way he beat the guy was, in the beginning of the episode, I think it's this same episode, Cap was training him. So he was teaching him about, like in judo, how a lot of times you're using the weight of your enemy against them. And so he was, like in a kung fu movie, remembering the teachings of his sensei, and then like he used those techniques on the bad guy and just whooped his ass. And it was pretty dope. I mean, all the episodes were kind of like that. There were a lot of guest stars where he'd be doing something, he'd be feeling like shit, and then like one of his friends that's an Avenger would pop in, and then they'd go take down bad guys that were like overpowered mercs and shit like that. I don't know, it was a fun series. And then it got flipped on its head when it moved into the whole Infinity Saga. And then you had aliens, and the Avengers needed him to go to space. I don't know. It was cool. So, I don't know. Part of me hopes that Wonder Man gets some screen time in some of these new movies, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen. But he's a powerful-ass Avenger, though. You know what I mean? Like, really powerful. He choked out the Red Hulk recently.
Do you think they're ever going to give us Sentry?
They better. If they do, I'm going to stop watching Marvel films.
Yeah, I never liked Sentry. We better get Blue Marvel before we get Sentry.
Exactly. Yeah. If they continue that shit, I'm done. If they put Sentry in a Marvel movie, I'm done. Completely. Done. That's one of my least favorite Marvel anything. One of the dumbest stories in the Marvel universe. I'm not even going to lie. Because I think it's always been lame. Can you think of all the Marvel versions of Superman that they've done? Marvel has a fucking grip of them. But they just can't leave it alone. Like, your Boy Scout is Captain America. Let it go. You know what I mean? Like you can look at this angle from a different angle, or the situation from a different angle with Captain America, because he's powerful, but he's not like I can save the world powerful like by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole different look, and it works. So look at it from that way. Don't do this generic, I'm Superman, but I'm a dick. Who gives a shit? You can do that again? I'm Superman, and I'm kind of crazy. I'm Superman, but I kill. I'm Superman, and I got a split personality. I'm Superman, and I like to hump random chicks. Like, everything they do with their generic fake Superman is, I'm Superman, and I have family issues. Because that's Blue Marvel. Blue Marvel and his kids, there's, like, all kinds of craziness. Like, real craziness. Like, about
he lost his son to the neutral zone.
Well, his son, like, became the fucking neutral zone.
Yeah, his older son. And then the younger son hated him for it because they never could figure out a way to get him back, and so he like devoted his life to basically getting smart and trying to find a way to bring his older brother back.
So like I said, family problems. It's like they can't make a Superman that's just a good human being.
Well, I mean, like, he is a good human being.
No. What I'm saying is, like, Superman in our book, in DC's world, is a good human being that doesn't have a whole bunch of family issues. He comes from a good family that doesn't have the kind of infighting that you get with all the other guys. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with Blue Marvel, he's black dude with Superman's level of power, but here's the problems he has with his sons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't just be like, oh, he's a great guy, comes from a good family, period.
Well, I mean, he ended up working with his
know they
younger
worked
son.
through it because
Yeah.
that's the arc. But what I'm saying is, you know what I'm saying? They could have done better, and they didn't. Instead, they wanted to, once again, Superman, and here's your caveat.
True.
It's the way they always do.
I guess they gotta keep it separate. Find a way to make it different. I mean, I don't mind as long as they make it interesting and there's enough differences that it doesn't feel like you know what they're influenced off of. I always like in anime how a lot of stories they'll take like maybe a historical event or something, and then they'll
Put a twist on it.
Yeah, they'll put a twist on it. Maybe they'll add like demons, or maybe they'll add like characters that weren't there historically, but had a hand in whatever happened in that time period. You know, or even when they'll take like Karas. Like Karas is basically Japanese Batman with superpowers, and I dig
Kinda.
it, and I get. Well, I mean, he turns into the Batmobile. He turns into the Batwing.
But that's it. That's the only.
And he protects the city.
That's every superhero ever.
No, but I mean, he's linked. Like Batman,
he's a dark-looking superhero.
Linked to Gotham.
Like,
and so is Cross is linked to Tokyo because they have all those other crosses that are, you know, they're all linked to their city because each city is like a living
organism to
them. Entity. So I dig that, you know, because they took that influence from Batman and they applied it in their own way.
They went in a completely different direction.
But in such a way that it became its own thing. So I like when they do that. I like, as long as you do that and you do it right.
But what's that have to do with Blue Marvel?
I felt like there was enough differences that it was its own thing. And so I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the Blue Marvel. I'm okay with like what
no, I like the character, but I'd still feel the same way about like you make a black Superman and then he's got family issues because you know us black people and us black dads and our kids. Come the fuck on. Like seriously, like they really couldn't go in a different direction with that. They couldn't even have that be like the family could still be strong and they could all be like, dude, we gotta help whichever son that is. We all have to do something. Instead, it's like, you know, from the whole inception of the character, there's all and I like this part, the whole part about his, you know, the government trying to keep tabs on him because he was the first, you know, the most powerful Marvel character, and he's the most powerful Marvel character, but he's black at a time when, you know, we weren't
racial tensions were high.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like that, but I'm saying like he has that as his claim to fame, and then you don't even give him like an okay family life. Like he already can't have the wife because he was married to a white woman during fucking, you know, Jim Crow.
Yeah, they killed her off. I was like, come on, yeah, that was lame. I mean, I don't like it. There was issues I had with that 4-issue miniseries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just there's too many. To me, there was like too many little things that like they could have done differently, and they chose not to. But you know, whatever. I still like the character, and I like where they went with him, and I think he's like one of the best. You know, he's probably their best Superman, and I'm not saying that because he's black. I'm saying that because his stories are actually interesting. Because he has that kind of, you know, how they used to have like Doc Savage and shit like that back
like
in the day.
Quest,
Johnny Quest and shit. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like a super ridiculously powered, ridiculously intelligent version of those guys, you know? So I can deal with him. But the other guys, just no. Fucking Hyperion, like, I'm not even going to go back on that shit. I already went through this. I had a video I did, like, 2 years ago or a year ago, where I was talking about toy sales. And I said, what kid in their right mind is going to go into the store where the toys are, see Superman, Captain America, Spider-Man, Batman, and Hyperion, and pick Hyperion? Like, if Superman and Hyperion are sitting somewhere, every child in America is going to grab the Superman. Every child in the world is going to grab the Superman before they grab Hyperion's figure. And all these Marvel Legends people would argue with me, and one guy in particular was like, no, Hyperion's awesome. I'm like, okay, you like him. Okay, that's cool. But what I'm saying is Hyperion does not have the same popularity as Superman.
He never will.
He never will. The two most recognizable symbols in the world are the bat symbol and the Superman shield. in the world. We're not talking about amongst comic book people. We're talking about kids that don't speak English know what the S shield means. You know what I'm saying? Like all over the world. And this dude argued with me for like 3 videos. I had to make 3 video responses to some of the stuff he was arguing with me about. And I was like, dude, it's a fact. You can't use the ripoff and expect to get the same recognition that the original gets when the original is one of the most well-known, so he's the first of this kind of hero, the most well-known in the world. You know what I'm saying? But you know, some people don't like to look at the facts. I was just saying what really exists. His whole video, he had a video response. It's fun. Maybe you can watch it after this. It was all like him making jokes and shit, and like him trying to tell me his fanboy version of what it is he felt about this. And I'm like, I'm not even talking about my personal feelings on the subject. I'm just telling you that there's no comparison. You know what I mean? Like, it's like comparing Bruce Lee to Van Damme. If you made figures of Bruce Lee and Van Damme, which one you think is going to sell out first? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like making Hulk Hogan and Randy Orton into action figures. Before Hulk Hogan's racist rant, and probably even still with that rant, who you think is going to sell out first, Hulk Hogan or Randy Orton? Probably Hulk Hogan, because most people who don't even like wrestling like Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like, even though Hulk Hogan's a douchebag in real life and he's not great for the sport, and there's all kinds of little details that you learn from hearing all the other guys talk, he's still one of the more popular characters in the history of, you know, wrestling.
Even though he was making bacon with Brutus the Barber.
Yeah, I know, right? Straight pumping. He's like,
what you gonna do, brother?
I swear that it was a downhill spiral from when they showed that sex tape. Yeah. They had this sex tape. He humped his, I think it was a friend of his wife. And they had like the camera set up. And when he was about to bust, he was like, you know how he would do? He'd be like, and he'd be shaking his head like, and his little mullet would be spinning and stuff. When he was about to bust, he was like stroking. And when he was about to bust, he was like, I was like, whoa! Like, now I should never watch that. I will never ever look at him.
It now.
Yeah,
they
pulled that shit off.
You know,
it's the internet. Yeah, nothing. It's still there.
You
probably will find it somewhere, but it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was only like a minute or so worth of footage. It wasn't very long.
There probably was more, but that was what they could show. That wasn't released. Yeah, that wasn't. You couldn't really see what was going on. You could just see his like upper body and his head. Like there
was a camera. The camera was up like.
The one I'm talking about was eye level. It was sitting on like a shelf, like directly in front of them. And
I saw one from up above. Like, I mean, they set that motherfucker up because you don't put a hidden camera. You don't put a camera up in the ceiling, unless you're trying to set someone up. And that's the video I saw. So I saw him like full on stroke. And
I didn't have the patience or the heart to sit there and go through all that. I had
to watch it because I wanted to know if it was real.
Whatever. What do you mean? You want to know if it's real?
Yeah.
Come on,
if it's actually
Phil.
Come on.
I
wanted to watch it. But I wanted to make sure.
Come on.
I didn't know he was gonna do that.
You didn't know he was gonna do that.
I didn't know he was gonna,
It's a sex tape, dude.
It's like,
of course he's gonna bust.
Well, I don't know how. Well, it was a portion of the tape, so I didn't know how much of.
I just saw what was on when I watched the Hodge twins, and they had a clip, and their clip was when he busted, and you couldn't see a whole lot of anything else in the room. You saw like obviously something on a shelf was the camera because it was like it was facing him. And you just see his face and like from his like stomach up, and you just see him like. I'm sorry you guys can't see me, but I was like shaking my head and blowing real hard. You know how he breathed real hard, shake his head? That's what he was doing when he busted. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is what I'm seeing. Like,
you stared into Hulk Hogan's soul. And it blew back.
Man, it was like, because I met Hulk Hogan when I was little. We have a picture of him holding me up at the freaking Dayton airport. And like Hulk Hogan it was like meeting Superman because I was like 3 or 4 or something like that. my dad worked at the airport, and he knew when they were coming in if they were going to wrestle at like the Hara Arena, because that's what we did. We watched wrestling, we watched Godzilla, we watched Ultraman. That was like our routine. So when they were coming, it was a big deal for us to see them. And I met a lot of the wrestlers in the airport when they were coming down the gate, because he knew when they were coming. You know, I mean, you work there, you know what's going on. And a lot of people would talk. I guess that's one of the ways they knew. But meeting him in real life was a big deal, because as a kid, all you know is you're meeting the guy you see on TV. And every day, every week, you're like cheering this guy on, and this is like your hero and shit. I even watched fucking No Holds Barred, the fucking... What's that smell? Dookie. Like, oh. He was like, Dookie? And the guy was like, Dookie. Like, I'm telling you, it was a big deal for me. And then, like, I fucking hear this racist shit, and I'm like, wow, are you kidding me? So not only did he cheat on his wife, which that's like a staple in Hollywood in general for so many of these, you know, stars that we all think are such cool and awesome people, but like he fucking, you know, had this racist fucking rant, and like, I don't know, it just seems kind of like it's like he defaced himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of us I said it before, little Hulkamaniacs that were saying, eating your vitamins and saying your prayers like he told you to, and then he's like, yeah, fucking nigger, and you're like, he really fucking said that shit. Yeah, like, I can't believe he said that shit. Like, you know, some of us Hulkamaniacs just happen to be brown. Sorry. And, you know, like, and your daughter likes the BBC, so that's not our fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it, you know? It's weird. It's fucking one of those it'd be like if Superman was like, fuck humans. You'd be like, damn, like, Superman, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? You know, fuck him. Like if he stomped Batman to death, just kept stomping him. You know what I mean? Stomp him into mush, and we're all like watching, and like, you know, at first you'd be like, "Damn, Superman beat the shit out of Batman." Then he keeps stomping him. Like, you fucking humans hate you, motherfucking son of a! You get all the popularity, you motherfucking ruin my mood, and you'd be like, "Wow, Superman just lost his damn mind." Like that's how it feels. Like kind of. Hearing Hulk Hogan say that kind of shit, you know, so somewhat. It's not as violent.
About Bill Cosby.
Yeah. Oh God. Like fucking.
I mean,
yeah.
Bill Cosby was like another dad.
Yeah, I know, right?
We all watched the show and we loved it.
That's how we felt.
It was a family gathering, and then when you find out he did all that stuff to women,
yeah, it's like
it was like, oh my God, like you can't never look at that guy the same way.
Exactly.
Forever marred.
But like I said, Heathcliff Huxtable was a good man. It's fucking Bill Cosby that was a dirty motherfucker. It's kind of like when you watch was it Dark of the Moon, or was it, which one was it when they killed Ratchet? And Optimus was like, Optimus is the fourth one. Yeah, Optimus was like, I'll kill you. I'm like, when does Optimus Prime say I'm gonna kill people? Yeah. Like my whole life, Optimus is saying, like, you know, there's another way. He's like Superman. There's another way.
Freedom is the right of all sentient
beings. He's like, we're not gonna kill you first. We're gonna figure out a way to deal with this so that no one gets hurt any more than we need to happen. Now this motherfucker full on big ass gun, like, I'll kill you, shooting at human beings, you know, and it's like, weren't they like kicking them as they run through they're like busted through the window, just kicking the guards and like ready to. I was like, what you completely missed the point. You know what I mean? It'd be like watching Jesus freaking, you know, I don't know. Someone. Yeah, like it's like you just some of these guys don't get it. And you know, and I'm Buddhist. I'm just saying, it'd be like watching freaking Buddha shit on somebody. Like that doesn't happen. You know, these particular characters have a certain way that they do stuff that's completely like they're supposed to be kind of perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I hate when Marvel goes.
Well, they're supposed to uphold
There's an image. There's a certain standard.
Yeah.
There's a standard. Yeah. And that's what I hate about when you watch, you know, other people rip off characters and then demean or, you know, put them in the opposite, make them the opposite archetype. Like Superman should not be killing people. He has killed people given the situation. But what I'm saying is it shouldn't just be the status quo. Like, hey, Superman, just go around and that's how you deal with all your problems. Just murk folks. That's not cool. And that's pretty much what Marvel did with Hyperion and Sentry. I love how, like, that was a big-ass fucking tangent that we went on, and then we came all the way back. It's just I don't dig that. So that's why I'm not fond of like most of the rip-off Superman. I can't. They get on my nerves because it's just like you like I already illustrated, like we already illustrated. They're supposed to be one way, and that's the way that you know them, and that's what sticks with you. And the times that they did have to break away from that stand out. But now, if you just rip them off and say, "Hey, every time that's the way they do things," it's just like, eh. So
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird that even DC has their own rip-off Superman, like the Samaritan.
Yeah,
Who's I think he does kill, like, and he's not really. I won't say he's not crazy, but he's got issues.
Wait, wasn't the Samaritan from an Image book? Wasn't he one of the guys that they kind of got, or was he the character from? No, Astro City's not DC. Astro City's an independent book. Yeah, wasn't he?
Sure he. I always thought he was a DC character.
Wasn't the Samaritan the guy Glory used to hump?
Who?
Glory, the Image character. She looks like. Remember in the newer book, she was all buff. She had like long white hair. She was created by Leafield, but then they did a revamp, and the artist that's drawing Gem right now, I can't his name or her name now. I forgot on DeviantArt is Mooncow, and she draws these like really. She draws women of all kinds of sizes: thick women, skinny women, tiny short women, like tiny thick women. It like everybody looks like what you see outside in the real world. You know what I mean? Like it's not just one body type. And so Glory is buff, but I mean like imagine Wonder Woman on steroids, like really on steroids, like and then drawn by Katsuhiro Otomo with big old round face and like kind of feminine, shape, but then just put muscles in there.
So like a female body.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a Wildstorm character.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. And he used to hump Glory because they fought, and that's the issue I had with the book was that like people were made of like spaghetti. Like they have a fight, and Glory just rips his arm off, and I was like, "You just ripped Superman's arm off. Essentially, are you that much more powerful than he is that you could just tear him off?" Like she literally just grabbed his arm and was like, "Rrr." I was like, "Okay." The book was actually interesting for a while, and then like there were parts of it where it was just like too ultra violent and kind of like. For the sake of violence, and I was just like, you know me, I get tired of that shit. I blame Invincible. Have you ever read Invincible?
I thought Samaritan was before Invincible.
He was, but the book I'm talking about showed up after Invincible.
Oh, okay.
This was Glory's last run, which was a couple years ago. Oh. It was a good story. It just was like some parts of it you could tell who they were trying to get. It's like that Mortal Kombat crowd with all the
especially with Invincible. It's like it started off kind of like that, like they wanted to do something a little different. Edgy, and then
they just went full out, lost their goddamn minds. I mean, like fucking imagine if Superman was fighting like I don't know Mongol, and Mongol freaking pushes his eyes in during the fight, like freaking jabs his thumbs into Superman's eyes, and he's like with his fucking heat vision flying all over the place, or like. They're in that, like, Mercy kind of game, with their fingers intertwined, and then he just breaks his freaking arm, and it's all flopping around and shit. Like, that's the kind of shit that happens in that book.
No, it's even worse.
And it gets worse.
His little brother almost died.
Oh, my God. He had, like, his arm was all, like, limp, and there's blood, bones sticking out and stuff. I'm like,
in space and everything,
Or Alan the alien, remember? He got his ass stomped in zero gravity and ended up like on the moon, sprawled, like just fucked up. But it was like up the screen. He was up in the corner of the page, like on the moon, kind of like what happened to Saitama. When Saitama was fighting whatever the alien dude's name is, and he got punched out into orbit, and then he hit the moon and was just like, damn, and then he just pushed off the moon and went right back. It was like that, but freaking Alan was just like, eh. Alan was
like, I gotta heal for a minute.
Alan was jacked up. It's just weird. I think like sometimes, and I mean, Kirkman's successful, so somehow he knows he gets what's out there. He gets the people. I'm just saying, for me personally, I think there's a point where you've kind of taken this shit in like overly subversive, in that direction, and I'm not into that shit. I'm like, nah. If you're doing a superhero book, I don't feel like we need to know what would happen if, you know, like if two super powered people fight and their levels are really close, then it would be pretty much the same as two regular people fighting because they're on the same level. So when they slap each other, you know, you're going to get bruised. When you get, you know, punched super hard, you will get damaged. You know what I'm saying? There's no like, I'm Superman, you can't hurt me because your power level is like 1,000 points below mine. No, you guys are on the same level. So we get it. It's going to be probably not cool looking like it would be if Superman was fighting someone, you know, with a different kind of power level. But like in freaking Invincible, it's just like slaughtering. Like every time they fight, it's like a slaughter. Like when the Immortal turns on everybody. Remember when he turns on the Guardians of the Globe? He like chops the fish dude. I think his name was Aquarius. He like chops his head off, like with a karate chop. Like chop, and dude's head just bloop, 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 and falls off. I was like, what the fuck? Like really? Did we really need to go in that direction? I mean, like people get destroyed. Freaking Darkwing, I think his name was. The first Darkwing gets destroyed. Like, I think he got ripped in half or something. It was like bad.
Yeah, but then the second one disappeared in his own dimension. Yeah, or something like that.
And he came back kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, the show, the book is, and I don't even know why. I think we're talking about what got us on this again because we're doing this again. It's just too much. I was just like, man. I was talking about Glory because you mentioned Samaritan.
Well, I mean, yeah,
the Samaritan. But yeah. I'm good at keeping track of where we were going, but I think like, you know, I don't know. Overall, I'll still say with because this all somehow spun from us talking about Jessica Jones, and it was good. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we all think it completely sucks, but I don't think it's worthy of all the praise that it's getting right now. It's not the best thing we've ever seen.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Even as far as comic book movies go, it just was a different. It was like a drama with people who have powers.
Exactly.
You know, and that's it. So, you know, I don't even think it's even calling it a comic book movie. Alias is not a typical comic book. It's not. It's really just, you know, it's a crime novel in comic book form. I mean, a lot of it is. It just so happens that your Gumshoe or your Sleuth happened to have been a superhero, you know, for all of what, a week or something like that?
Yeah,
or a month or something.
How long she did the hero thing.
And I didn't like how they, we're going back to the didn't like, it bothered me that they didn't ever show you her in costume doing what she did. Because, like, in the books, you actually see her flying around doing stuff. Also, could she fly or did she just jump real far?
She could in the comics. She could fly,
in the show,
they just had her.
They had her jumping all the time,
and
except for
they
one
alluded
scene
to her flying in one scene, and you never saw it, and it was just like really. But
maybe that's why she doesn't own a car.
Yeah,
she just jumps
everywhere.
New York.
Well, then again, she lives in New York, so it's kind of smart not to own a car. You don't want anyone to break.
Yeah, she took a cab a few times in the show.
Yeah, you don't want her to break. You don't want anyone to break into your shit. Because I mean, owning a car in New York where you're not going to really be driving that much,
hell,
you can take the train.
I'm surprised. As much as her door was broken in that series, I'm surprised her apartment just wasn't cleaned out.
But there wasn't anything in there. She didn't have shit in there, remember? That was what she always said.
They had taken her alcohol, at least.
Cheapest shit ever.
I know, I'm pretty sure it was even bad alcohol for...
Well, I mean, she had, like, wild turkey.
What?
She had,
That's wino shit right
there.
Yeah,
she had,
Yeah, they would have robbed They would have robbed her for some wild turkey for real. Somebody in that apartment complex would have snatched that shit.
Yeah, man. So she had a bottle of Maker's Mark in there, which that's a little more higher up.
But yeah, I don't think anybody was looking at that shit. Someone would have robbed her because people have robbed like folks we've known and broken into people's cars and stolen fucking like art supplies and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are most? You can't even sell that shit. So what'd you steal it for? You stole it so you could go back to your little hole and draw. Like, you know what I mean? You could have asked me for a pad and some paper, and I'd have given it to you, and then you could go back to your hole and draw. But like, you can break into someone's car and steal art supplies that you can't sell. So I don't know. I think they would definitely take some booze. But yeah, there were a lot of little things in the show that I felt was like, ugh, really? But I hope that when they do their second season, I don't even see how what story do you tell with her She didn't even have a second book.
They might not do a
I
second
think she's
season.
good as an ensemble character.
Yeah,
Like in
yeah.
a group, and that's the reason why it was better with Luke Cage and everyone around her. Like
Yeah.
fleshing her out as a character. Because if she's by herself, it feels like, I don't know, it just feels a little bit
Well, there's
soft.
not enough with the character in the comics to warrant, I think, another season.
I know people are already like, I want a second season because that's just how things works. That's how the machine works. And it's like, yeah, but you got to think she doesn't really warrant a second season.
Unless they do a thing where she goes full on superhero and she's got a costume,
which she's not going
something.
to. You know, she's not going. She didn't even want to be a superhero in the first place. She said she didn't want to, and then she makes the decision based on the fact that there were people around for her to save. So
yeah.
But and then they completely wimp out by not actually showing her do her superhero stuff. Like, I think the fact that the Marvel films typically are not apologetic for being superhero films, and then she's not a superhero, but she was for a brief period of time, and they don't even go into that. I think that's, for me at least, you know, like I think it could have still had just as much bite to it had they shown her as a superhero for a second. You know what I mean? So you could be like, damn, like, she really sucked at her job as a superhero, because that was the thing. She sucked at being a superhero. I mean, that's what she said in the book, at least. You know, she sucked at being a superhero, and that's what got her in trouble in the first place. But you know, like I said, overall, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like trying to think of it wasn't like X-Men, the X-Men franchise, where they beat around the bush so much with the you know, source material that it's just like, I don't even want to bother. It felt like the book.
Yeah.
You know? I think the end was weak as fuck, though.
Oh, yeah.
It was so weak for me. I was like, really? Because I thought something was really going to go down when Homegirl came into the train station with the rock, you know, the punk music playing. You know what I'm talking about? When she had the hood on and stuff. And I'm like, oh, she's going to beat the shit out of all these cops that are controlled by Kilgrave. But nope. She's not. It didn't even go down like that. And that part even felt like that happened for no reason, too. It's like, okay, so now he knows you're not, what's her name? What was the point of that? It was like 2 seconds of what could have been a badass situation. They just did it for whatever reason. I think they were running out of ideas. They just threw it in there. So, yeah, I wasn't impressed with that stuff. But you know.
I actually wish he had went to jail.
Who? Kilgrave?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. On Kevin Smith's podcast, he said she should have just pulled his tongue out, like she said she was going to.
Yeah, because isn't that supposed to be an alternate ending or something like that?
He just talked about it. He said it should be. It should have been. Him and Mark Bernardin were like, it would have been dope if she did just pull his tongue out and leave him there, so he can never ever really say anything again.
That would be cool.
That would have been cool. But then again, it's the gritty street shit. So like street level shit. So they kill all the time. There's lots of killing going on. So. You know, that's why I'm saying, like, you know, in some ways it felt too, what's the word I'm looking for? They're badass.
Punched him so hard, she shatters his jaw.
You could always repair the jaw.
Yeah,
you can't repair the tongue, though. That's gonna be a serious operation to get all in there and do all that.
Sure.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. It feel a lot of things that were supposed to be badass feel like that manufactured generic, like this is what a 12-year-old thinks is badass, you know what I mean? Or this is what someone from the suburbs thinks is badass. This is not actually as badass as you guys are making it out to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just too, I don't know. It was just badass.
Yeah, it would have been a cooler ending. On the one hand, I'm like, yeah, he needs to kill him.
Yeah, they need to get rid of him, so it works. It works either way, but I think it would have been like, you know how he tortured other people? Yeah, because like he tortured other people and took away their freedom.
Yeah.
They couldn't say anything. They wanted to. In their mind, they were screaming as hard as they could, you know, but they just physically couldn't do it. Now you take away his ability to speak. He's got all this shit he wants to say and all this shit, you know, he can control you with a word and he'll never be able to get the word out because you don't have the ability to. That would be fucked up for him, but it's like perfect. It'd be like a living hell. But he needed killing, so they killed him. They killed him, so that worked. So, you know, there's things about it that are good, and there's a lot of things that it was just kind of like, ugh, man. It's funny, I didn't even have any other topics besides the 2 trailers and this, and somehow we filled up 2 hours. Like over 2 hours of of just like
A roundabout tangent.
Yeah, man, all these tangents. I don't know, that's how it works. But I don't know what else. One Punch Man. We got to get in some One Punch Man here because we've all been watching that shit.
I haven't watched the current episodes.
Yeah, that's all I need to watch. I haven't seen the last one. I'll watch it tonight. Yeah, you know what's funny? When we talked last time, I think I had only watched like 3 or 4 episodes, but I had all of them queued up to watch up to like episode 8. So all that stuff you guys were talking about, like with Hammerhead and shit, I hadn't even watched that yet. You know what I'm talking about?
So you finally
So I finally watched
Sonic?
Everything with Sonic and all that stuff. I saw Puri Puri Prisoner.
Puri Puri Prisoner.
I finally saw him. It was hilarious when he was like, "You guys need your shots," and then they ran away, and then you see the newspaper and it said S-class fail, and he was just like, he bowed his head. He was at first looking at the paper like he just was like, I was like, yeah, man. I don't know. I love that show. I love the book already, so it wasn't really like I had to think about watching it, but it's just at times it feels like you're still reading the manga.
Yeah.
Because like the shit matches up frame for fucking frame, and there's not too many series that do it that well. You know, they always tweak, you know, something like the artist ego is too big, you know, with the people making the anime versus the people making the manga. But it's dope.
I think that my biggest contribution to this is how awesome is Moomin Kamen Rider. Like that dude showed up and like Moomin Rider and threw his bike
like,
at the sea king.
Right?
And I was like, what is he doing?
The Justice Toss or some
bike
shit
of
like that?
Justice.
Yeah.
Oh!
Man,
Plus, and then he got like thrashed in like 2 seconds.
Brakes beaten off of
And
him.
it was the funniest and most awesome thing. And then all those people are in the back and then they're chanting, "You can do it."
Yeah.
And obviously you can.
Threw that punch, and the dude just looked at him like, he had this twisted expression, like, "What?" And then it was over, man. It was awesome. But yeah.